Hello, very good evening to you. Welcome to the King Abdulaziz racecourse here in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. We are back for the penultimate week of the season. Just 3 more meetings this week, 3 more next week, and that is the season done. But plenty of good racing before that, of course, and you're with us here on the English-speaking service. I'm in the company, I'm pleased to say, of Rory Delaghi for the first time for me, so it's good to... Hopefully it's good to work together. We know a little bit more later, Rory. But
we'll find out in about 20 minutes, Darryl, I'd imagine. But I think this will be smooth sailing. Fairly low-key cards tonight, but a lot of runners, so we'll have to be getting through them fairly quickly. And starting with a race with pretty much no form as well, just to give Callum a bit of work in the parade ring. But
which he says he's looking forward to, that sort of
he loves that. He loves that kind
and,
of race.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the Jockey of Education Cup, which we'll come to a bit later on, which is another interesting race. That is at the back end. 9 races tonight. The second of our truncated cards, of course, with Ramadan underway, of course. So late start and a much later finish. Now we're here. Callum's here, and guess who else is here? Ashim Murphy is here with us, and he's here principally to replace Camillo Espina, who is out for the rest of this week, or the whole of this week. He's suspended, so he's been drafted in to try and help the White Stable over the course of the next week or so.
Yeah, it looks well. I didn't realise quite how tight it was between the Red Stable and the White Stable, the 2 big operations here in Riyadh. But there's not an awful lot between them in terms of points. Obviously, the Jockeys Championship is won on number of winners. The trainers, the owners' championship is based on total points, so you get more points for group races and cup races, and just 1 point for ordinary races.
Shall we have a look at the score?
Yeah, it's quite tight, and we'll see now.
So these are the owners then, as Rory says. There's very little between them. In fact, there are just 2 points between them. So it is the Red Stable who lead the way. We're looking right to left, of course, 142 ahead of 140.
Yeah, so obviously reading from right to left, as you expect with the caption in Arabic there. It's Prince Faisal's Red Stable who are leading, who've been multiple champion owner, but in recent times it's the White Stable of Prince Miteb who's had the upper hand recently. But 142 points to 140 makes it very tight indeed. And way back in third, the stable that we've seen doing really well this season, cutters familiar in the UK as well, of Sheikh Abdul Al Sabah, who Thamar Al Dahani trains for, doing very well to be third on the table at this stage.
No, you mentioned Thamar Al Dahani, and well, I mean he's home and hosed because there's nobody catching him. 83 winners at this stage.
Yeah, really good score. I mean, he was a champion trainer with imported horses last season, but he's going to be champion. Abdullah Mushraf Al Khatani in second place with 53, and back to Ahmed Mahmoud, I think, in third there with 51 winners. So it had been pretty tight last season. As we said, Thamar Al Dahani was the star with the imported horses, and he's just built a much bigger stable this year, and he's done tremendously well. Okay,
so that's the trainers. Let's have a look at the jockeys. It probably is all over, although look, Adel Al Faradi leads, as you can see here, with 84 ahead of Mohammed Al Daham, 77. I mean, 7 winners to make up seems an awful lot in 6 meetings.
It does, but obviously all you need is for a little loss of form or a spill, and suddenly it's easy for someone like Mohammed Al Daham to pick up 2-3 winners on a day. So you think that obviously with these shortened cards it's a lot harder, but when you look at these 12 race cards, sometimes the top jockeys can get 3 and 4 winners on a day. Camilo's probably out of it with 75, given he misses this week, but it's been a really good battle all the way through the season. Mohammed Al Daham obviously winning the International Jockeys Challenge at the Saudi Cup as well.
Which was fantastic, wasn't it, a couple of weeks ago. This is what we've got for you, so we're going to kick off in about 15 minutes' time. 9 o'clock, of course, local time. Just the one Arabian race during these final few weeks, so that starts us off. Then we've got a maiden race coming up, local and imported horses. The first of the opens is at 9:50. Then we go back to the maidens. 0-1 contest at 10:45. Local bred handicap will follow that. Then the maiden for the local breds, followed by a local and imported maiden at 12 o'clock. And then the final race is that Jockey of Education Cup, which takes place at, I think it's midnight 25. Saudi time tonight. So that's not on the screen, but that will be the last of the 9 races this evening. Right, that's all the data, that's all the info you need to know, of course, and we're going to start our build up to race number 1 very shortly, which is only around 15 minutes away, by saying a very good evening to Callum Halliwell, who is our reporter on track, reporter here this evening.
Yeah, good evening, Daryl. Good evening, Mr. Dalagi. Nice to see you both back on Saudi shores. Daryl had a brief stint at home as well, so it's only been me holding the fort for the last few days, so it's nice to have everyone back on the ground. Looking forward to the rest of the racing this evening. As has already been mentioned, just the 9 races this evening with short gaps between them, so we should rattle through the car. But I think the first race is extremely interesting. I had a quick peep at them in the pre-parade ring, and there is a grey in green and yellow colours. I think it's going to be Ashrat Al-Barak, but that says Bay on my race card, so it could be wrong. But I saw that horse in the prelims looking very, very smart, so looking forward to seeing that one in the parade ring. It's a 3-year-old only purebred Arabian fillies contest. It's one of my favourite type of races because they do look so babyish, and it's always great to see the ones that are a little bit more precocious than others who are able to take that big step forward. But once we get past that Arabian race, it's thoroughbreds all the way, and Oisin Murphy really will be the star of the show. Plenty of rides this evening. He's already had success here in Saudi Arabia. He had a winner in the Jockeys Challenge, the International Jockeys Challenge, on the Friday of Saudi Cup weekend, and then he partnered the Japanese-trained Byzantine Dream to win on the Saturday in an absolute corker of a ride. He gave that one, so he comes here, he knows the lay of the land. He had a couple of spins on the dirt as well, so he'll know this dirt surface too, and it wouldn't be a surprise for him to kind of keep pushing the charge for the Owners' Championship for Prince Mithab and the White Stable. So hugely looking forward to that contest. As you can see, the purebred Arabian fillies are already in the paddock behind us. Boys, I'm really looking forward to today's racing.
Thank you very much, Callum. We'll be with you very shortly then to have a look at the runners, of course, and we'd love to hear from you as well. Wherever you're watching, whatever time of the day it is, wherever you're watching, do get in touch. You can do that, of course, on the comments page on the YouTube channel. Let us know what brings you to the programme if you want to see. And also, we're always up for selections, aren't we, Roy? So if anybody's got any fancies.
Yeah, anyone certainly has got any insight into these, always worth hearing.
I quite like, questions to sort of test your knowledge. You won't beat him, but you can put it. He says confidently.
Unless it's about Cheltenham next week.
You can put any questions to Rory, regarding the coverage here or anything else that is on your mind. Now, here's the fourth member of Admiral Form, and I automatically shortlisted his runner. But I'd quite like number 7, Kazama, who ran into the one that the Callum likes, the 15 last time out. And Smo Al Jandil finished in front on that occasion. But I thought Kazama did a lot of running in the early stages, got tired later on and failed to finish 6th, whereas Smo Al Jandil stayed on late in the day and only beats Kazama by a short header ahead for that 5th spot. Obviously, you'd like to think there'd be improvement from both of them. This is a similar sort of race. There's very few with any experience in it, and not that many that jump off the page in terms of connections or pedigree either. So I thought that pair were interesting. And over this trip, dropping back a little bit in distance from that race, I thought the one that showed early speed was the one more you'd prefer to be with, rather than one that was staying on late in the day. And again, horses can be a little bit flattered by running on late here. Whereas, horses who show their early speed and then get tired a little bit later on, they're often a bit better than the bare results. So I would give Kazama a chance to improve enough to go fairly close here. But she didn't catch the eye in the parade ring, so no.
Perhaps Callum's right, and he's picking them out on Luke's, and Smo Al Jandil maybe has just physically improved a little bit more for that run.
Chatan has messaged in. You've probably answered the question already, which is best selection for race 1 with a question mark after it. And I dare say any selections for race 1 probably come with a question mark.
They do. I mean, we're mostly looking at newcomers and those with form. Naila also had a run, but she's a non-runner in this race. You've had 2 who've met each other on debut. They finished 5th and 6th, and the rest of them are newcomers. Not that many, as I said, with eye-catching pedigrees, but 1 or 2 from stables who do pretty well. Shamuk Albar, number 14, comes from a stable that doesn't have too many runners. 4 from 19 strike rate all told, and a decent jockey booking with Khalid Al Mamouni on board. So that's an interesting one in terms of stables. And then you're looking at some of those who are capable. Number 8 got a good mention from Callum. the stable can ready a newcomer in a race like this. And Naif Al-Nazi, always quite an interesting jockey booking here as well. So number 8 would be on your short list, but a difficult one to be adamant about what the best horse is from our point of view anyway. It's nice to see them in the parade ring, and Callum probably has an advantage on us in this race.
He does, and the horse you just mentioned there, horse number 8, Maya Al Muntakaba, is, I suppose, a playable price for those who are just looking for an interest here. 10 to 1 on the international markets, given those connections.
Yeah, that seems reasonable enough. Again, you're guessing a little bit in fitness-wise, but Callum said one of the taller ones, possibly the tallest in the lineup, and looked pretty fit as well. So you would take positives from that, and I'd say the 10 to 1. If I was pricing out myself, I'd probably be a couple of points shorter than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was very much on Callum's shortlist, wasn't it? Along with Smo Al Jandal here, the 15. Evening, I'm saying evening, I'm not quite sure where he's viewing from, but Greg has been on to say, great stuff, guys, with a big red love heart. So, a regular.
Well, all Gregs are good guys, aren't they? Yes.
Apparently that's what they say. Have you ever met a bad Greg? Or?
Have I? I don't think I have.
No, I don't think I'd want to, really.
No, you wouldn't.
No. So down at the start, yeah, tricky little race, and probably a race.
I've never met Greg Wallace, in fairness.
We're not going down that one. Probably a race for most, if you're going to have an interest, it will be, a tentative sort of baby step type selection rather than anything more serious than that, unless you know something we don't, of course.
Indeed, which is always possible. And of course, if you have a connection with these horses and you happen to know how they work, then you're in a much better position than those who are just looking at stats on a piece of paper. But I'm seeing nothing that puts me off the 7 at this stage. Kazama, she's well behaved at the start. She showed speed on debut. She's not got the best draw here in stall 13, but I suspect because of the know-how she got from that one race and the early speed she showed, the draw shouldn't really be too much of an issue for her.
No, I wonder how much of an advantage it is to have had a run. And these are 3-year-olds, of course, only just turned 3-year-olds. So generally speaking, how quickly do Arabian horses progress compared to thoroughbreds? Are they likely to take a little bit longer?
These are like baby 2-year-olds as a general rule. When you see them out early in the year as 3-year-olds, a lot of them look not fully developed, and most of them that you see racing are racing for experience rather than expected to win. But obviously, every race you have to have a winner. And obviously, when you see them in the paddock, every now and again you get one that stands out as being a little bit more mature, a little bit more forward, or a little bit harder trained and fitter. And those are the ones you're looking for. But you do often see purebred Arabians only really hitting their peak when they're 7 and 8 years old.
Yeah, that's quite a way off then, isn't it? So, selection-wise, Rory, what are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with number 7.
7 for Rory, yeah. Casamea, I mean, probably like a lot of us, I really don't know in a race like this, but I'm going to take the 11, Nebla Azrea. And Callum was kind of a little bit undecided between 2. I think you were leaning towards the 15, but is that going to be the final answer?
It is going to be the final pick, so 7, 11, 15 for us here. I'm pretty sure that is the team selections. Really looking forward to this one. The 15 is the pick. I do think the 8 is worth watching, though, under Naif Al-Nazi will probably be prominently ridden. But John Blance, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Callum. Yep, we've got about 5 or 6 left to go in. We've got Muthela Al-Zamilia. There's some absolute belters in here. Hopefully we don't get a 3-horse war in the final half furlong. Nomasa Aldra still to go in. We've also got Nabela Al-Sraya, who is, of course, international market favourite. Obviously quite a few punters latching on to the Adil Al-Faradi angle as well. Shumuk Albar to go in. One that's just waiting at the back is Maya Al-Muntakaba. Nice little loosener, this one, for the commentator. Shumuk Albar goes in. Mbela Azrea. And also the light blue and orange quarters there of Maya Al-Muntakaba and Naif Al-Nazi. Couldn't stop riding winners, Naif, when we first started this English speaking broadcast back in the summer of 2023. He was the king of Taif. And Maya Al-Muntakaba is going to be the last to go in. Almost in. They're all in. Stand by. 1,200 metres, purebred Arabian fillies, 3-year-olds. Gates crash back and away they go. Very awkward was the favourite Nabela Al-Zrair. I say that just veered out to the right somewhat as they make their way through the early stages. Casimar has made a pretty good start, one of the other quite well fancied runners. Also prominent in the early stages is Shumuk Albar. Also there is Halar Al-Rayla, that's your leading trio at the moment. Followed then down on the rail by Muthayla Al-Zamiliar. Right round the outside, Asfar Gathawan is then followed by Smo Al-Jandal. Then we've got Asaf Gathawa just going back through the field a little bit. The favourite got a little bit of work to do at the moment as they make their way around the turn, trying to get into it, but a few lengths to find as they start to make the swing for home. And the lead is with Casimar, but also there is Shumuk Albar, and Shumuk Albar now quickly rushes into a 3-length advantage to in second position Casimar, then in third Hala Al-Rayla, followed then in fourth by Muthala Al-Zamiliar as they come towards the final furlong and a half. This bird could well have flown here. Shumuk Albar by 4 lengths at the moment to in second position Casimar, is not finding a great deal. Down the centre of the track, Shumuk Albar is trying to stay on, so to there Halar Al-Rayla. Here from the back comes Asfar Gathawan in the closing stages, racing inside the final 50 yards. This leader's getting very tired. Here on the scene is Halar Al-Rayla and Asfar Gathawan up to the line. It's a 3-way go. Asfar Gathawan got there though. Asfar Gathawan in a thriller to kick things off. Shumuk Albar was there still very much on the scene, as indeed was Halar Al-Rayla, who was finishing well. What a terrific start to proceedings. It looked like, yes, it looks like the one, Asfar Gathawan. We await official confirmation there. Halar Al-Rayla is in the mix too. Shumuk Albar down on the rail. So those three. Asfar Gathawan has scored. Halar Al-Rayla has finished in second. They were the first two home, and Shumuk Albar was third. That was the 1, 2, 3 there over in our opener. Really good start to the day there, and it's Asfar Gathawan in the hands of Tharbal Timyat, who still claims a kilo. Might not be for much longer. And it was a very nice ride indeed to get that one up at Ithyar, and has come there to finish in fourth. That was the 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll be back with 8 more very soon.
So there is Asfar Gathawan, who was 1, and Tharb Al-Timiat for Thebe Al-Kintash has taken the opener. Will be a price, Rory.
Yeah, as far as I could tell, Thebe Al-Kintash was just 1 from 50 this season going into the race. Winning time 1 minute 23:58. We expect them to be doing about 1:12 in the better 1,200 metre races for thoroughbreds. But 1:23:58 for these young purebred Arabians isn't a bad time. And a good win for Tharbal Timyat, who we've seen plenty of in the last couple of years. A young up-and-coming rider who's still claiming a couple of pounds. That 1 kilo claim still in evidence, but rides with plenty of confidence.
Okay, let's go back to Callum then. I guess get some reaction then to this first win of the night.
Asfar Gathawan is your winner of race 1. Horse number 1 has come wide and late in a typical purebred Arabian thriller. Nice looking individual walking around here. Didn't fill the eye in the parade ring, as you can see, barely probably breaks 16 hands. I imagine it'd be about 15-3 if you stood into him, but if stood into her, I should say. But it doesn't matter. If she wins, she wins. She's got there wide and late. Good run from Hala Al-Rayla, who sort of plugged on at the 1 pace all the way down the straight, but ends up taking second and took second from the really strong travelling Shamak Al-Baha, who turned into the straight looking like the sure thing winner under Khalid Al-Mamoni, but got very, very tired late and eventually had to settle for third. Probably the one you want to take from all of this. Everyone getting involved in the picture, as you can say. Come on, get in there, mate. Get the last one to get in there. So they're all in now. Get the picture then. Put your fingers in the air. Happy days. Well done, boys. Unfortunately, no luck for us in the first.
No, but it's very early days, and it was always going to be a race, wasn't it, where, you know, no outcome really would have surprised us. But a storming late run down the outside, the producer was screaming at home, confident that Asfar Gothowan was going to get up, and he proved to be right.
Indeed, yeah, a long run down the outside just got him there in the shadow of the post. Like these colours as well. I wonder if Tibal Kantesh gets good phone signal. His colours look like he does, don't they?
Those bars, yeah, absolutely. So one wins it then. It was tight in for second place, but here is the moment of success for those who are fortunate enough to play the top horse here, who is up for a winning debut. And yeah, the places were in the end a little bit closer for second and third, but we take away a big price winner in our first of 9 races this evening.
Yeah, Hala Al Rayla in the centre there, just bobs for second in the end. And the horse that looked like winning off the bend, Shamuk Al Bar, just fading into third. And there's our official photo, which makes it look slightly less close than it did in the first instance. The photo tends to favour the horse on the near side.
Yeah, let's have a look at the play out of the closing stages again, and just beginning to unleash a run now is the eventual winner, the lighter grey, going to come down the outside in those, as you say, white and black colours, and switches to the outside.
Probably a good move to switch wide at that stage. That's just to the outside of the eventual runner-up, I believe. But difficult for these horses with little experience to come between runners. And once he does switch wide on the little grey, quite strongly built. Our winner, Asfa Gathawan, but small. I mean, I think Callum was saying this is quite small. I think it's probably smaller than he suggested.
You're going to sell at the number of hands, I think. Yeah.
Definitely under 15 hands for me.
Favourite got a bad start on the outside, and the dark colours. Nebula Asrayam was sort of really always paying for that, I think.
Yeah, and then try to rush up from that stage. That's not unusual for a newcomer drawn on the outside stall, or indeed the inside stall, when there's daylight on the other side. They do tend to dive towards daylight rather than towards other runners, and that can cost them a lot of ground on the outside in races like this. You can put a line through that for the favourite as a horse to note next time to see what kind of ability it has. Again, I think the fact that it was favourite here was more to do with the jockey booking than anything else. But you still
it's hard for the international traders to compile a price, I think, as it is for us to try and work out what might win. Your selection, Casimir, was in front for the early part of the race. Has been overhauled here.
She's run on again. She looked like she's going to fade and finish. I mean, she's finished 5th in the end, but she's actually closer to the winner at the line than she is to the horse that finishes 3rd at this stage. She gets past Dunford to one. I thought given she was all early speed, she'd fade out of it, but she actually comes back at the horse in front late in the day. She runs out of room very, very late, but she was only valued for finishing maybe half a length closer. But she's run a nice race, and she's probably done a bit too much on the front end, given what's happened to the two who battled it out off the bend. You see she's just eased in the last 100 yards when short of room, but that was a nice enough run from her.
Yeah, enough to take away from that run, and I'm sure those comments will apply to plenty of those who were in the leading ranks as well. So there we are, that's race number 1 of the 9 we have this evening. If you had no success there, we move on. We've got a maiden race coming up shortly over the 1400 for the 3-year-olds. Was that opening race, Rory, the toughest race to try and come up with a properly assessed selection on the basis there wasn't a lot to be able to assess upon?
Every now and again we get one of those pure-bred Arabian races just for newcomers, like very early in the year, and then you get nothing to go on. At least I had seen 2 of them in action before, and I could make a judgment about whether they'd run well enough to win an ordinary sort of race, and that gives you something to work on. But when they're all newcomers, it's a complete guess-up, really.
It is. We're going to have a newcomer who's likely to go off favourite if the international market is to be noted in this race. This is horse number 20, Al Mo Hanakar, under Fawaz Wanas, is going to go up as the market leader, 9-4 on the international prices. Coming here first time. I mean, there are a handful of newcomers, but are we surprised that the first timer is going to go up as the favourite?
No, it was my selection in the race.
Okay. What's drawn you to that horse then?
As I can prove when I show you my sheet.
Show us the workings, yes.
Well bred. She's by Hainesfield and is a half-sister to winners out of an unraced daughter of the Group 3 Pre-Psyche winner, Jcsa, from a good family. Represents leading connections as well, and I thought was a must for the shortlist, given quite a few of these who've raced before haven't shown an awful lot, and I thought that was a very nice pedigree, and I made her the pick on that basis.
Okay, well you've managed to agree with the market, or the market's agreed with you, however that pans out. 9 to 4 chance at the moment as we get our first look, looking down on the runners, and again we've got a sizable field here. They go without number 16 on the codle, so 21, 23, 24 reserves, but the 22 does get a gig, does get in. It is 100 to 30 bar 1, which does bring in number 9, Mottas Hair. But let's go back to John Blant, who's going to tell us all about the full list of runners and riders in the second.
Yeah, big field, Daryl, and horse number 1 is Abo Radas Abdullah Al Said. He takes them out. Adas, Nawaf Al Mudiani's horse number 2. The 3 is Alpha Heart, Jose Rodriguez. Horse number 4 is App Spirit, Rakan Al Abeid. The 5 horse is Babrusa. As yet, we don't have a jockey. We'll hopefully get that sorted out in the fullness of time. Fajhan Mohammed Al Daham rides. Assam Al Sharani rides Babrosa. Plenty more graphics though, stand by. The 7 will be King Faris, that's the man of Mohammed Al Hubail. 8 is Majuz, Naif Al Anazi. 9 is Motashaib, Hasil Al Sahani. 10 is Mustajab, Luis Morales. 11 is Nake Wad, Abdullah Al Orfi. Horse number 12 is Olean Abdullah Al Fayruz. Horse number 13 is Peninsula Power, Khalid Al Mamoni. 14 is Rams Al Mohammedir. That's the mount of Fahad Al Furedi. The 16 is a non-runner, and also the 15, that one's out as well, Saudi Dreams, so 2 non-runners there. The 17 is Shaguf Tariq Al Mansour. 18 is Yaktazab Abdullah Al Kradis. 19 is Yofins Adal Al Furedi. 20 is Al Mohanakar, and we have got a 22 as well. Yujabu Allah Yusuf Al Hussein is aboard. So a big field, 1 or 2 non-runners, but still plenty to plough through. Who better to do that ploughing than the boys in the studio?
Yeah, Saudi Dream, John's just pointed out there, I think it's a late non-runner. I certainly didn't have it anyway, the 15, so add that to the list of absentees. So we know that number 20 on debut, we've been talking about with Rory already, Al Mohanaka is the favourite. The 9, Mutash Heeb, is the second choice. That's 100 to 30 on the international prices. Then Yofins 19 at 100 to 30, and Nakwad number 11 is 11 to 2 for the red stable. It's big prices. It's 12 to 1 bar the remainder. So you've already sort of shown your hand, if you like, in terms of telling us you're going to be with the newcomer favourite. Let's talk about 1 or 2 of the others here. Second choice has had just a couple of runs so far. Ran 3rd over the 1200 last time, beaten a fair way, but with a mark of 63. Not many have got a mark, but that's the best mark from those that have got.
Yeah, and it's a rating that wouldn't win a lot of matings, but early season and late season, a rating of 63 will often be good enough to win one of these. And our number 9 was placed on both starts last month. Was no match for Min Shan over 1200 metres last time. The winner's quite a classy sort, but was only beaten half a length for second, having made his effort earlier than ideal, and probably was second best on the day. So that's solid enough form in both of those starts. And if you're looking for one guaranteed to give you a run for your money, then Motashaib is the obvious one. Okay, always good to get a horse that will give you a run for your cash. Let's go and rejoin Callum, who's got his eye across all of these runners.
Thanks very much, team. We'll start on the 3, Alpha Heart, who is very, very fit and ready to go. We've had the 2 starts, has shown absolutely nothing in those 2 starts, but looks really fit and well in the coat today. Certainly would imagine we're going to get a better run for your money on this occasion. Let's drop our way back to the 5 to start with. This is Babrusa. On debut here, looking really well in the coat, I must say, from owners that we always know turn their horses out incredibly well. Connections always have a lovely type with their horses. maybe not the best of movers in the hindquarters, but look, a really well-proportioned individual, strong in the shoulder, and quite strong all the way across the board. Could do with a little bit of development at the back end. We go on to the 6 here. This is Fajan, who makes his 3rd career start here. Certainly isn't worth leaving a Salman Al-Dahani, Mohammed Al-Daham horse out of things. They've been in such great form all season, and this horse is looking to make it 3rd time lucky on this occasion. Good mover, nice chestnut here, lovely back, lovely flat back there. Probably another who could do with a little bit more development at the back end. Let's drop back to the 7. King Fariz, who's another one making debut today. Lovely bouncy walk on this one, really catches the eye. Lovely kind head on it as well. A really taking individual here. This is one I say has definitely developed in the hindquarter area. It's just interesting to see that this horse makes Saudi debut today, but a little bit woolly in the coat. But aside from that, plenty of positives about the 7. We'll drop back just a couple and we'll focus on the 10 and the 11 up next. Mustajab is the next one. If you're looking at the horse that's been turned out the best, Mustajab would win best turned out all day of the week, shining in that coat. Looks like it's been scrubbed to within an inch of his life here. Makes debut today. Another one on debut. Another one with a good walk. Really does cover the ground well. Got all the headgear on, but that shouldn't be a concern here on debut. We see lots of horses wearing headgear early in their careers. Drop back to the 11. Red Stable have to be acknowledged here. Knackwood, who was well beaten on Saudi debut, finishing 7th. And again, I mentioned on that occasion, just looked a bit heavy. And I would still say on this occasion, although shining in the coat, still looks a little bit heavy today. The 12 in behind, Olayan, is coming towards us now. Now, this horse is always a real looker. With a looker on debut, caught my eye on that occasion, and the same could be said today, but probably in the same sort of category as Knackwood, where it just looks a little bit heavy. And maybe you'd be hoping for a little bit more racy today, but looks carrying a wee bit of condition, but looks fantastic in the coat. We'll drop all the way back now. We'll miss the rest of them, go straight to the 20. This is the next one we'll go to, the one that everyone is really keen to have a good look at. Just coming towards me now, this is Al Muktakana, who is just coming, as we just see the 22 just shying away there. But this is the 20 on debut for the White Stable. Not your typical White Stable, but this is a Hainesfield rather than a premium tap, which we tend to see. And we just keep out the way there. We're just catching the 20 coming towards us now. Now Fawaz Wanas takes the ride on this one. Horse looks in really good shape in the parade ring. Oh, it looks very fit as well on debut. If you like this one on debut, you should have no concern from what you've seen in the paddock. Certainly no negative for me, but we have seen some of these White Stable horses are taking a while before they get their first win. Some of them need the run. Will this one need the run, or will he be able to strike hot on debut? Boys, it's back to you.
Well, you're hoping the debut won't be required for our Mahanika number 20 on the card and can go in first time, Rory.
Trained by Badr Razak. He's more than capable of getting one ready first time, and I would say that if you had to be critical of Al Mohanaka, just a little bit light on the loin maybe, but looks fit enough. There's not much spare flesh on that, and as I said, it's got a very nice pedigree. It's never easy going with newcomers here. They often need to run more than they look like they will. More, I think they need the experience of racing around this track than purely on fitness grounds. And a lot of horses who look very good on paper and look good in the parade ring don't fire first time up. But this doesn't look the strongest of maidens. As I said, the form choice has got a rating of 63, and you'd like to think that Al Mohanaka is going to be a little bit above average, but the proof of the pudding will be with us in a few minutes.
Absolutely, and kind of makes a good point. Of course, we've seen over the last week or so that there's been plenty of White Stable horses who have been able to benefit from the experience of having a first run. Let's talk about one or two others here. Who else is on your short list?
I will give you my short list. So my selection was number 20. On paper, I can change these if they don't take the eye.
Okay, no, it's not locked in yet.
Not absolutely locked in. Number 19 next on the list is the very consistent Yo Fince, who's got plenty of experience, has only been out the prize money once in 6 starts to date, and ran very well when a length and 3/4 second to Milton in a 1600 metre maiden here last month. Pretty much guaranteed to give his running again. the mount of Adele Al Faradi from the Gaith Al Gaith stable. Not an easy draw on stall 14, but lots of experience to overcome that wide.
Yeah, it's the horse I like, and primarily on that run you've just mentioned from about a month or so ago. But yeah, with that draw to overcome, the 19, who is third choice in the market at 3 to 1 in the betting.
The others worth mentioning here as well, who are just outside of that top 4. Mustajab, I'm going to mention from Callum there, number 10. Again, this one appeals on pedigree. Luis Morales riding this. By Vino Rosso, out of a winning half-sister to a Japanese Grade 2 winner called No One. Related to a winner at variety of trips in the UK. Fitted with blinkers and a tongue tie for debut, suggesting a degree of connections want to crack on rather than just giving this one a view of the racecourse. Big and strong. Again, horses with this physique always tend to take my eye in the paddock, but I think racing on this surface for the first time can be a little bit tougher on them than it can for others. So I think Mustajab is rather likely to come on for the run, but it's certainly interesting enough in terms of pedigree and connections. And Fajan's an interesting one, despite having been unplaced on both starts. This is from a really good family, possibly not living up to the pedigree, but you can actually see a glimpse of the family in Fajan's looks. By Kamiko, the record-breaking Guineas winner, out of from the family of Midday, who was an absolutely top-notch race mare, dual Nassau Stakes winner, Globetrotter, from an exceptionally good family. Ran in the Acomb Stakes at York on its debut in the UK, finished last that day, looked very, very green. It's quite a flashy looker, light chestnut. Maybe wasn't going to live up to expectations in the UK and has been shipped over here. Obviously, same owners as it was on debut. It was I can't think who trained it in the UK now.
Kevin Phillip.
Kevin Phillip Artefoy, yeah. We speak to Tamer Al Dahani. He says he loves getting horses from Kevin Phillip Artefoy. This still looked green on debut here, finishing 9th. Didn't show an awful lot of early speed that day, but did plug on late. I think it will do well in time. Probably needs further than this trip though, so Fajan's one to have a look at for further down the line. But representing Top Connections, Mohammed Al Daham still challenging for the jockey's title. Tamer Al Dahani, essentially champion trainer.
Yeah, and Nate Watt was in that race as well, just a couple of places in front when they met at the back end of February. That was the debut for the 11, who has shortened up a little bit at 5 to 1. International market showing money for your Fints as well at 3 to 1. Favourite still remains at 9 to 4. I mean, we've got a betting market that is focusing on really 4 runners here, and everything else is kind of being discarded. I mean, are they right to be doing that? I think you included the 10, did you not, Mustajab?
Yeah,
as one of yours, who's slightly
fourth
bigger.
In, isn't he? He's a 12 to 1 shot around there at the moment. Fajan a couple of points bigger than that, and they're the next in, and they're horses who on the form book you can't give them much of a chance. One hasn't run, one's been well beaten in 2 starts, but they're both interesting from a pedigree perspective. And if you were a bookmaker, you wouldn't want to be laying too much over the odds on those, but. The right horses appear to be at the head of the market.
Okay, we're going to confirm selection. So I'm with the 19-year Fints.
I'm going to take a chance on the newcomer Al Mohanaka and hope that she's not too green to do herself justice first time. That's number 20.
Yeah, so 19 and 20 here. Callum, what have you got for us?
Yeah, I like the 10 here. Mustajab got a very favourable mention from the boys in the studio there, and also for me, just looking in the parade ring, Louis Morales' mount just looked really well turned out. As I said, if they were the best turned out award, it would go to this one. But again, you're relying on debut here, which is always a bit of a concern. But the 10 is a very nice type. I was, I'd say, slightly disappointed by the 11 and 12, who both had a run under their belts, but still look a bit heavy, if I was to be totally honest. Now, maybe they are just, that's the way they're built. We saw Charin last season on the flat in Europe, very heavy set horse, but didn't seem to stop him. But I was slightly disappointed with the way he looked. I do think the form of Mustasaib, the 9 in this field, is really strong. That run last time out was behind an absolute monster, I think, that the White Stable have, who was on debut, who looked very, very smart, and he tried to chase him and got very tight late on. So I think the 9 would be worth the watch, especially from stall 5, you know you've got enough pace to be up there early as well. And the 19, the other one, was experience that I think is Darrell's selection, would also make a lot of sense as well. But if I was going just on form, I'd probably go for the 9. But on looks, I've got to take the 10 here. That's definitely going to be the pick of the paddock. One of the others I didn't mention, there's often you see horses from afar. I tend to base myself at the far end of the parade ring when they come in, so I can have a good look at all of them as they come into the parade ring. And then you get up close to them and you realise, oh, I've missed one here. And I think Adas, the 2 here, he's had 2 pretty low-key runs with Nawaf Omudiani on board on this occasion. I think that is a horse that's got a little bit of ability, a real chunky monkey in behind, but not fat. Big, powerful type, and I think maybe he's the type that will improve with racing. 3rd career start for him. Notice he doesn't have a rating yet, which would imply they haven't quite got a firm view on him, the handicapper, waiting for this 3rd start. So keep an eye on the 2 here, but if we're going to go through selections one more time, the 10 is the pick for me, the 19 is the pick for Darrell, and the 20 is the pick for Rory. John Blanc, a man in the sky with the John Blanc fan club all watching. It's over to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, that club with very, very few members. First in, or next in, is Babrusa. Mustajab to come forward as well. It's a rather striking looking individual, that one. Sheepskin noseband on. Next is the 18. That's Yak Tasib to come forward. And the 11 is Nake Wad. So quite a few debutants here. Babrusa, King Faris, that's another one that's making its debut, as indeed is Rams Al-Hamdir, and of course the selection of Rory, and of course the international market's favourite Al-Mohanakar. Looks like we're all lined up and ready to go over the 1400 metres. Off they go, they are racing. Rams Al Muhamdir was very slowly away, that one on debut, and is a good 3 or 4 lengths behind the rest of them as they charge through the early stages. Yoffins, who's got plenty of racecourse experience, just about your leader. Nake Wad, though, is also prominent. Also there is Peninsula Power, the grey jacket there with the sheepskin noseband. The one that's a little bit wide is Fadjan, the green sleeve, so that's your leading quartet. Bit of a gap developing then to right down on the rail there in around about 6th spot is Motashabe, who's also quite well fancied internationally. Then after that is Babrusa, who's trying to make a little bit of headway, but they're well strung out already. Abo Radas is comprehensively outpaced at the rear of the field, so is Alpha Heart, that one's struggling, and so too indeed is Mustajab at the moment. So they start to make this very long swinging turn, and the lead is with Peninsula Power right down on the rail. Round the outside, though, travelling strongly is Fadjan. Then after that, Nake Wad, the red colours. Bit of a gap back then to Yoffins, who's trying to plug on. After Yoffins is Motashabe. Down the centre of the track, making late headway is Babrosa as they come towards the closing stages now. Still on the rail, still just about the leader is Peninsula Power, but on down the centre of the track it's Fadjan. Fadjan, the green sleeves. Peninsula Power on the rail. Yoffins is battling back in 3rd as they race towards the line. One that's making incredible headway from the back is Mustajab. Look at this, Mustajab as they race up towards the line. Mustajab, would you Adam and Eve it, to in 2nd position Yoffins, who again has failed to win but has run well, and the 3rd horse was Fadjan. Incredible stuff. Mustajab, Caleb Helliwell flagged that one up and was miles behind in the run at about halfway. Loads of work still to do, but the pace has collapsed. I think this one has probably kicked in a good late section or two as well. It's probably been a bit of both there, but Mustajab in the hands of Luis Morales on debut. Very interesting. That could be a name to conjure with over the early part of next season. Mustajab, 1 minute 28.33. Yoffins, poor old Yoffins on start 7. Runs good races, still hasn't managed to win one yet. Looked absolutely booked for it and wasn't quite able to do so. Motashabe's just about clung on for 3rd. There has got 3rd over Fadjan. And Babrosa, that was run a good race on debut. A big price in the international markets, was always there or thereabouts. But Mustajab, I think we might have found one there.
Mustajab, well found in the paddock by Callum. That's a great selection and beats 19 Yofin. So again has run well, but we get nothing for a second place. Number 9, Mutasayab in third, and Fasham was back in fourth. Number 6. It was almost deja vu from the first race in terms of the winners come down the centre and has finished best of all. I mean, is this a pattern we've got to be noting, or is this just pure coincidence in 2 races?
There's not a particularly fast time, 1:28.33 for the 1400 metre trip, and it may be the track is riding a bit slow. When the track's riding a bit slower, then it does tend to suit the hold-up horses a bit more.
Yeah.
The best, if you're a hold-up horse, you get 2 ways of getting through. You can try to burrow up the inside and hope they roll off the rail later on. You get room there, or you can sort of tuck in and then come wide off the final turn and. You've got daylight then.
Well, however it was done, Mustajab has done it nicely, Callum.
He has done it nicely indeed. It was fun watching that all the way around because he showed no speed early and then just started picking off runners down the far side. And as they turned into the straight, I thought no matter where he comes, he's one to watch. But he's absolutely caught fire down the straight. And the fact he's beaten the 2 form horses here in the shape of the 19 and the 9 is hugely positive for Connections. You have this horse on debut, Vino Rosso, the stallion, and he's still got quite a bit of energy in there. And Louis on board has given him a really, really gentle educational ride here. As Rory mentioned, the headgear on debut is never really a bad thing. Because the K is quite often done here, and clearly a horse they wanted to have ready to go on debut, and he certainly answered all the questions that Louis has asked of him, and still looks like he could go round again. Clearly got a lot more energy in the tank. I was quite taken with that performance, and I think we've got quite a smart one on our hands, but we'll hear more from Lewis once he weighs in. A jockey who's been steadily ticking away with the winners all season, to be honest, and he'll be very happy with that victory, and we'll find out all about it when he comes and joins us here. Louis, that was very impressive.
Oh man, yeah, I believe so. You know,
He came from so far back in the field.
he jumped very slow. First time out, the first time out he jumped very back, very bad, and then I tried to just take it easy in the beginning, so he gave me a good kick, and finally he did it really good.
At what point in the race did you get the feel he was really starting to go?
No, in the last 600, I'm trying to find the best way. I come through inside. When I come out between 5 or 400, in the clear he start running, switch perfect, and I saw the guys like five lengths from me, so I said, probably, In the last 100, I say, okay, I got him.
Because he's actually won quite easily in the end, because you've not had to push him.
At the end, he just took off.
That must have been a really wonderful feeling. A lovely horse. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to him next season.
For sure. I mean, even if he going to longer, I think he'll be better.
Hugely exciting. Well done.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, big strong run down the outside. As you say, Roy, it may just be that the pace has fallen apart. There is coming right the way around the scenic route down the outside, but full of momentum.
Yeah, they have gone pretty hard here early on and haven't been able to maintain the gallop. A few of these got detached from an early stage, including our race favourite, who you can see right at the back of the field in the green cap with the red and white striped sleeves. That just never featured at any point from the off.
We've seen this with a few white horses first time, haven't we? They just haven't performed. So
last season they were bouncing out the stalls and making the running. Particularly when Camilo was riding as well, because Camilo really has a great gift for getting horses to go forward without having to ask them. Our winner's come out of stall 9. You see he's missed the break quite badly there. He's behind the favourite, but you see the favourite being pushed along at this stage, the Chestnut, in the middle of the picture and just not going the gallop, probably getting kickback as well. And that one drops out. But the winner is last. Last but one. There's one on the outside who's already tailed off at this stage, Rams Al Mohammedia. But the winner is well back on this side of the pitch. A couple of those who were drawn wide, as you can see now, just got completely out of it and haven't gone the gallop. But he's only got 3 horses behind him at the moment, and he makes a remarkable run to pass them all. But I think the sectionals will show that they were going pretty hard at this stage. Our eventual fourth there, Fajhan, is about to move into the lead in those Al Sabah stable
he's a
colours.
fancy runner up there, isn't he?
Yeah, this was his third. He's shown a lot
so
more dash on this start than he had on his first 2. He's one of the lovely European pedigree who I said was too green to show anything on debut, but that was in the most valuable maiden race run in the UK, the Acomb at York. He then showed a bit of greenness on debut here and has stepped up at the second time of asking, but he ended up doing plenty to get near the lead in the first place, and as you can see, those horses who were on the front end are beginning to flag in the final furlong, and the momentum that our winner has at this stage proves absolutely crucial, and Mustajab comes through with a strong run. Luis Morales thinking he might have to get serious with him a couple of furlongs out, but the further the race went on, the more it was clear that he was just rolling along as others were stopping, and he's able to give them a fairly easy time with things.
And what do we do with your Fints here, who just keeps running well, but just can't get that elusive win?
Individually, you can't really knock this performance because he's come through to win his race 100 metres out, and he hasn't really flinched. He doesn't quicken particularly, but he gets himself very briefly to the front, but this winner's come and blindsided him. So Fints isn't exactly looking for something to come past. He's just a little bit one-paced, and you get a lot of horses like that who are perfectly genuine, but keep hitting the frame.
So there we are, winner from Off the Pace. As per the opening contest, we'll see whether that's the way things will play out during the rest of the evening. Now, a feature race coming up, or one of our features coming up next, is an Open, and we're going to get to see Oisin Murphy, Rory, for the first time tonight. So the Whitestable will be hoping that he can put matters right for them. He's going to ride Hey Nabaha, who is rated highly, rated 93, one of the top-rated horses. Looks like he's got a good chance to make an immediate impact, Oisin.
Yes, he's got a couple of very good rides, and Hey Nabaha is arguably the most interesting one. If you ignore his last run, which was a bit of a shocker, but it was in the custodian of the Two Holy Mosques apprentice race, which is a very valuable event, but he was ridden by quite an inexperienced apprentice there and didn't give his running. But earlier in the season, he'd been running really well, won a local Group 3 on his return to action, placed in a local Group 3, placed in a local Group 2 after that, and then went to that race on one of the biggest race nights of the year, the custodian of the Two Holy Mosques, and ran on the apprentice race there and just didn't give his running. I'd imagine you can put a line through that, and he should bounce back to his early form.
He's going to be favourite. We
know
that
favourite
much.
With Oisin on board. Yeah.
Absolutely, 9-4 chance. I mean, that run you mentioned, he was only beaten a couple of lengths behind a horse rated in the low hundreds, so that could be really, really good form. But before we talk more about race 3, let's get back to Callum.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Really looking forward to race number 3 here at King Abdulaziz Racecourse. Obviously, the story of this race will be Oisin Murphy back in Saudi Arabia after riding a couple of winners over the weekend at Saudi Cup. There's a few other horses in here who are worth discussing as well, including the 1, Al Gadaf, the 2, Al Amay, the 3, Tarzim, the 4, Al Sharid, and the 5, Al Mashlouf. All of which are very, very intriguing horses to take a peep at, including Al Mashlouf, who might not have the rating that a lot of these have, but has certainly got plenty of ability. I've just seen Oisin Murphy coming towards me now. We're going to grab a very quick word with him. He's just shooting over. Typical, not wearing his helmet at the moment, but we're going to grab a quick word because Talal bin Shuraim has already spoken to me and given me permission. Good evening, Oish. How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Nice to see you back here in Saudi Arabia. You had a great time over Saudi Cup weekend, 2 winners.
Yeah, it's a great track, and I'm delighted to be here, and hopefully the next 3 days can prove fruitful.
And what brings you over here in the first place? Did the White Stable contact you and say, look, we're trying to win a championship, are you available?
Well, it's a leading stable, and unfortunately their first jockey, Camilo Espina, is serving a suspension, so I was delighted when I got the phone call.
And you've come a long, long way to avoid Matt Chapman. You've got me instead, so that's a huge positive. And you were also at Lingfield only yesterday with a winner over there too.
Yeah, it's a great time of year to be able to travel and keep busy and hopefully ride some decent horses, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well done, best of luck, and we'll talk to you later on.
Thank you very much.
That was Oisin Murphy. He rides Hey Nabaha in this race, but John Blance, our man in the sky, can take us through all the runners and riders.
Yeah, great to see the champion jockey here today, Oisin Murphy, and he has got some good rides as the evening progresses. Al Gadaf is the man of Wigberto Ramos. 2 is Al Amay, Rayan Al Toesh. 3 is Tazim, Adel Al Faredi. 4 is Al Falanazi. 18 is Najmat Al Shaib, Abdullah Al Fayrouz. 19 is Walad Al Matrafa, the man of Tharbat Timyat. And there's still more to come. Horse number 20 is Misail. Mohammed Al-Daham is aboard. 21, 22, 23, 24, the reserves that aren't required here. Let's get back to the boys in the studio.
Yeah, reserves don't run, as John says, and you may not have Fulham. I think it was quite a late scratch. The 7 has gone. We've got a chance, actually, to have a look at a couple of the fancied runners, not the favourite, but a couple of those sort of just bubbling under. And Alamay is an interesting runner as well, of course, in the same ownership, obviously, as Sheen's ride. Hey Nabaha. And let's take a look at this run in the Jockeys Challenge. This wasn't it, back on the 21st of Feb?
It was indeed, yeah, at Saudi Cup weekends. This is the International Jockeys Challenge. I think it was James McDonald who was on board him this day, and he only just gets touched off. You see him in those familiar colours in third place at the moment. Launches a very strong challenge inside the final furlong, but can't quite get on terms with Jawar Al Riyadh, although we would have in another stride. Back in fourth that day, by the way, is Al Gaddaf, who's run a perfectly respectable race, but isn't any better off at the weights, and you'd imagine this form will be confirmed. But that's a good run from Alamay. It was a return to form from him. Tazim, we see here cruising at this stage on his way to winning the Al Juf Region Governorate Cup, which sounds very grand. And it wasn't a bad contest. My only concern about this, he's won this very easily under Ricardo Sosa Ferreira, but the runner-up in the end is Daz, who's rated 72. So there were horses rated in the 90s, sort of filling the third and fourth positions, but the fact that the runner-up carried a rating of 72 into this race means you can't go absolutely mad about it. But Tazim on the ratings has got a very good chance. He's got an official rating of 98, and he's clearly in form, although I maybe not rate that race quite as highly as the form looks visually.
And I guess the other thing to note with that race is it was over 2,400.
Yeah, that's the most important aspect of that. He's a horse who's effective at 2,000, but he stays 2,400 metres well, and he doesn't have much form at 1,600. And I think the drop back to this trip for Tazim is a big question mark tonight, and that would put me off him. He's second favourite here, isn't he? But I think the trip is a massive concern.
Yeah, strong contingent for the red stable. In fact, they've got three, haven't they, in the field here, because Harby, you mentioned Al Gaddaf as well, the one, and Tarzim. But let's have a closer look at a few more here with Callum.
Yeah, so we just give you a shot of Hey Nabaha, who's coming around the parade ring here. Oisin Murphy just getting the leg up on this occasion. Look, she got an awful ride last time in that apprentice jockey's race. She's much better than that. If she can bounce back to the best, we'd be really intrigued to see how this one gets on. Look, she's a 5-year-old now. She's not too many miles on the clock, though. She's clearly had plenty of ability, and it's just taken a bit of time. You can see she's just having a chew with a tongue strap right now, which is what she's fiddling with, but that's no concern at all. But she's clearly not totally happy with that tongue strap at all. Let's run straight across the parade ring and focus on one that I really like. The three look really well. Tarzim, I know it's the trip with a big concern here, but I think the three, certainly if you're going on looks in really, really good shape here. Just a real eye catch, looking well in the coat and looking fit enough to do the damage. Alamay as well, who'd run only a couple of weeks ago as well, looks in very good shape. Also in behind, you've got Al Shredden. Let's have a look at Al Mashalouf, the 5. He just comes towards us now, this grey. Really good-looking type, who always runs a bigger race than expected, I think, which would be the best thing to say about Al Mashalouf. Big run last time out when finishing third. Looks fit enough to do the job today, and it certainly won't be easy for a horse like Hey Nabaha in this contest. Of the middle order horses, not too many blowing me away. So the 8's okay, Harby, but again, we've been let down by Harby plenty of times before. It wasn't a bad run last time as well, but I think if I had to make a pick of the paddock, it would be crazy to go against Hey Nabaha, so I'm picking the 15, Hey Nabaha, to do the damage in race number 3.
Thank you very much, Callum. So we talk about ratings. Tell me how that ties in with the weights these horses carry, etc.
Yeah, they've got, obviously in an open race there tends to be a weight structure based on how many races of this sort of nature horses have won. So for example, if you look at the ratings here, if you're wondering why Hey Nabaha is the one we're saying is the best horse in the race at the weights, he's got an official rating of 93, Hey Nabaha has 57 kilos to carry. I should mention that she's a mare.
Yeah.
She gets a mare's allowance as well. She's carrying 57 kilos with a rating of 93, whereas Al Gaddaf, who's rated 87, has actually got 61 kilos. So it's giving 4 kilos away, or 8 pounds. It's essentially two pounds to a kilo, the conversion here. So Alamay and Tazim are both higher rated, but both have that top weight of 61 kilos. So I've got to give the 4 kilo away to Hey Nabaha, and that on paper gives her gives her an edge.
I mean, I've got to say that makes me even stronger on Hey Nabaha, particularly that run behind an even higher rated rival last time. So, look, Oisin's presence is always going to factor into the market, isn't it? But what you say there, deservedly should be favoured anyway.
Yes, I mean, obviously you've got that. She needs to bounce back from that moderate run last time out. But as I said, she'd been very consistent before that, so we'd expect her to do that. And you'd imagine that they wouldn't be flying Oisin in to ride horses they thought might run well, might not run well. He's expected to be riding winners this weekend without the shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look through the book of rides he's got, I mean, there's not many you think, well, little chance on that one, for example. So, I mean, we're kind of expectations are. I mean, he's here for 3 days. Do we put a sort of a figure? I mean,
well, I
if
think
he comes with 5 winners or something,
I think if he gets 5 winners, he'd be pretty happy with the work that he's done.
Yeah.
I imagine that he's on a very specific short-term contract that isn't just a riding fee and prize money. But he'd still want to ride as many winners as possible because he's an ultra-competitive jockey.
He is. So, who are you putting on top? Are you with me with a 15 Hey Nabaha?
Let's just check who I put first. I put Hey Nabaha first. My dangers, if you like, the alternatives were number 20, who's another one who ran the International Challenge, one of those International Jockey Challenges last time out. That is Misail, again for Mohammed Al-Daham and Thamar Al-Dahani. Disappointing last time out, but I can see this filly bouncing back to form as well. So I thought she was a danger. And the others, to mention, the obvious pair, Alamai and Tazim, who are the 2 highest rated horses in the race. And we saw them in the footage there. They're high class performers around here. But Tazim, for me, is a bit of a question mark because 2,400 metres, 2,000 metres is much more his trip than this 1,600.
Yeah, as we were suggesting earlier, weren't we? And that horse has shortened up actually a little bit, 7-2 in from 4-1, so that is a clear second in. And in fact, the top end of the market, they're pretty much all shortening. So 15 Hey Nabaha will get my vote.
And Hey Nabaha, I'm afraid to say, gets my vote as well.
Okay, so we're double agreement here. I wonder if Callum's going to join us. Let's find out.
Yeah, guys, it's Hey Nabaha for me too in this one. I'm really, really keen on this horse's chances. I think you just have to draw a line through the last run, and back at this trip should be suited by dropping back to this distance, back to the mile, compared to a few of the others who might not be. And also, you've got Oisin Murphy on board as well. The only concern I'd have is Oisin's 2 wins here both came on the turf. So obviously one of the best turf riders in the world, comes here on dirt, hasn't quite had that success on the dirt. We saw Mikel Barcelona have a bit of success on the dirt when he made a stint over here for the White Stable. Intriguing to see what Prince Mitab and the White Stable are doing here, because they're clearly more than happy to try and get an international rider over if they can. They've had the likes of Tom Marquand, Mikel Barcelona and Oisin Murphy all ride for them, and obviously J-Mac in the Jockeys Challenge as well. So clearly plenty of reach, and more than happy to try and reach for an international rider, and this is the time to do it for these flat jockeys. Obviously Tom Marquand did famously, I think, 3,000 different, I don't know, 3,000 miles or kilometres travel, but he's been all over the place recently. I saw there was a great bit on social media regarding his flight map and where he'd been, because obviously he did 2 different stints in Riyadh as well, combined with Hong Kong, Japan, Australia, the works. You know what Tom's like, he goes everywhere. So clearly a jockey that's all over the place, and the rest of these jockeys who will be back on UK shores over the summer are trying to make the most of their opportunities here in the winter. But they're loading up nice and quickly here in Saudi Arabia, so Hey Nabaha is going to be the pick for me. Number 15, John Blance, could you call us home a winner?
Well, I always call home the winner, just a question of whether you backed it or not, and good luck if you're on Hey Nabaha here. Oisin Murphy with 4 rides this evening, and they've all got reasonable chances, so there might be some ACCA potential there as well if you're playing on the international markets. Mawala to come forward now. Also there is Walad Al-Matrefa. They're in shots in the red distinguishing cap is Ala May. 5 is Al Mashlouf. Sheepskin noseband there of Al Sharid to go in. 5 is Al Mashlouf in the background. Still waiting for Ala May to go in. Also to come forward is Al Gaddaf. It's got three different red stable runners here as well. Al Gaddaf in the first colours, Tazim the white distinguishing cap, Harvey the green distinguishing cap. A rib tickler for the commentator, this. Let's hope he's up to it. Heina Baha's out with the back at the moment. Al Gaddaf to come forward. This is Alamay going in. Al Gaddaf. And then Heina Baha. Al Gaddaf just backing away. Quickly attended to by a coterie of our stalls handlers here at Riyadh. Don't mess around. Heina Baha to come in. Machine Murphy, stall 7, 1,600 metres, the metric mile. Ready, gates back, away they go. Ooh, the favourite there, the Murphy-ridden horse, got knocked around at the start. That's Heina Baha, and has just been shunted back through the field in the early stages as they make their way towards the first furlong or so. Prominent in the early part of the race is Harvey right down on the rail. Another one that's up there is Malafek, and also up with the pace very wide on the course is Walad Alma Trefar. Spot the orange colours there and the orange headgear. Quador is also wide, followed then by Al Gaddaf, who's worked into a pretty good position. At the moment, Heina Baha is just making headway into midfield, now gets a little bit closer as they head on down towards the turn out of the back straight very shortly. So the lead is with Harvey right on the rail, but now round the outside comes Malafek. Here in third position is Misael, who's now making good headway for Mohammed Aldaham, the green sleeves. Still wide on the track is Walad Alma Trefar. Then after that, getting a little bit nearer now is Heina Baha, but still got a bit of work to do. But Murphy is trying to find a gap or two and keeping his fingers crossed that they appear. They're making the turn for home now, levelling up for the judge, and coming through to take it up is Alamay in the red distinguishing white stable cap. To in second position Malafek, who's now getting a little bit tired, followed then in third by Tazim, who's on the scene late, and now comes Heina Baha. After that, not very good start, trying to get going down the centre of the track. Also getting into this late as well is Harvey as they come towards the closing stages. It's Tazim who's hit the front. Tazim quickly on by a couple of lengths here, just dives down to the rail but has got plenty in hand, and as they race up towards the line, it's Tazim and that man Adel Al Faradi who's going to score. Tazim wins it to Heina Baha, who's finished in second. Third horse home there was Harvey, who finished off well, and also on the scene was Alamay. Adel Al Faradi. A lot of chat prior to the race of Rashid Murphy being here, but Adel Al Faradi, of course, is top of the jockey standings. He's 8 clear now. Wouldn't say he's quite the champion jockey elect yet, but he's not too far away. It'll take something quite remarkable for him to be overhauled. And Tazim, a winning time of 1:39.88, beats Heina Baha, whose chance was definitely compromised at the start if we look back at that. Harvey got going late and Alamay finished in fourth, but it's Tazim on start number 12, who's now won 5 times. 5 from 12 here in Saudi Arabia is not to be sniffed at. Heina Baha in second, and Harvey is finished in third. That was your 1, 2, 3, 7 1/4 lengths in the end, the winning margin. Adel Al Faradi, you're never too far from an Adel Al Faradi ridden winner here at Riyadh, and he's just shown again why he's 8 winners clear at the top of the championship, and why it looks like he's going to be champion jockey this year.
Yeah, Tazim it is, and 1 for Adele, 3 on the car beats Nebaha. We'll look back at the start in due course, show you the problems that Sheen had initially. Harvey's got third, 13. Alamay was the 4th horse home there, so, you know, fancied horses in the first 4, but you said, you know, they're not going to catch him. Well, of course they're not. 2/400 form last time. It was all over.
Yeah, once he was in front, obviously we were looking at Heina Baha running through the field, but once you realised it was Tazim who was in front with a furlong to go, there was no way that Heina Baha, who'd had to make a big effort to get into touch, was going to pass such a strong stayer. We were concerned about Tazim over this trip because there are plenty of horses who races over a variety of trips here, but Tazim actually hasn't done an awful lot of racing at the 1,600 metres and stayed on very strongly to win. I mean, cruised through that race last time out. It's clearly in very good form, but you did worry about a marked drop back from you know, the 2400
I mean,
metre
is
trip
this
to
an
1600.
inspired piece of placing by Connections to take the fact this horse is very highly rated, was in great form? Look, he's so good, he can come back, he can drop back to this distance and still be a major player.
It certainly worked out that way, and there's no better man to ride him than Adele Alfaredi as well.
Yeah, no better man than Adele in the saddle, and he's just had the dream pass through on a horse that's clearly in absolutely fantastic form right now. Tazeem drops back in trip, but does the damage anyway. A very good performance from our winning horse, and Sami Al-Harabi has given this horse 3 winners from his last 3 starts as well. Sami just joining up with the horse there, and Adele in the saddle. A win for the Red Stable, and a big win when it comes to the Owners' Championship as well, with the White Stable coming home in second. We'll just grab a very quick word with Sami Al-Harabi, our winning trainer. Once he just chats with Adele, he's just going to have a word with Adele, and we're just going to make sure. Sami, Mabruk, well done, congratulations.
Thank you, my friend.
3 wins from his last 3 now.
Yes, 2,400 before run, 2-time win, and today 1 mile, mashallah.
Were you worried? Were you worried that he was dropping back to the mile?
And need change for horse, no problem for pedigree, 1 mile and 2,000, no problem. And today, mashallah, good run, mashallah.
Well done, well done.
Thank you.
Yes. Pedigree suggested he could drop back and trip. The trainer was confident, and everyone should have been confident at home as Tazeem romps away with race number 3.
Yeah, we should have been confident, shouldn't we, I guess. But once he goes to the front, the race is as good as finished.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the crucial aspect of this race is the early stages where Baha got bumped leaving the stalls and got into a poor position. But as we said, you knew that when he wasn't in a good spot in the straight, Tazeem was going to be very hard to catch, because we know he stays very well. And he's a very high-class horse as well, clearly going from strength to strength. Great to have an interview with Sami Al-Harabi. We seemed to catch him quite a lot last spring, and then there was no great sign of Sami in the early stages of the season here, but always with a smile on his face, always willing to have a chat as well. So that's the first time I've seen Sami interviewed all season, and it made my season that little bit better.
A lot of early crowding in terms of Asheen's mount, who came out of stall number 7. It's put him on the back foot a little bit, and he's had to work. There he is, sort of, just at the back of that main body there to try and get his horse into the contest. Yeah,
and the question is, if you know this track very well, you would have a different idea of what to do if things go wrong at the start. And I'm not sure making your grind up as quickly as Oisin did is always the best thing to do here, particularly as it means you're going to be committed to coming through horses in the latter stages. And as we've seen with horses coming from off the pace, often the best place to get them is with a bit of clear ceiling out wide. And when he got in a bad position, maybe give Oisin an opportunity to take back a little bit and then work his way wide. But I think in most scenarios, that isn't what you would do back home. Certainly on turf, you wouldn't do that. And I think most UK tracks, most synthetic tracks in the UK, you would just look to make your ground up reasonably quickly and get yourself in the position that you want to be in.
And that's the advantage, isn't it, of knowing the track. It's probably why the International Jockeys Challenge panned out the way it did, because local knowledge is so vital.
Exactly. And in fairness, we saw some of the best jockeys come to the fore there as well. But it was Mohammed Al-Daham who won that challenge. Kicking myself about that, because I thought he was massively ignored by those who set it up. But he got the job done, and that was great to see, because he is a top-class jockey, Mohammed. Obviously only rides here, he's only ever ridden here really, but we see him week in, week out, and he makes very few mistakes, and has been riding at the top of his form this season. But again, Adel Al-Faredi is the man who's leading that Jockeys Championship. He doesn't sing his own praises. He isn't particularly demonstrative, but again, he just gets the job done on a regular basis. There are very few races you look at and go, what was that jockey doing, and look down at the card and find out it was Adel Al-Faredi. He tends to make the right decisions in races. Often you don't notice those. It's only when jockeys do something wrong you tend to notice them.
Of course.
Or do something remarkable, like
yeah,
we've seen Sean Bowen doing in the UK a couple of times recently, pulling races out of the fire.
Yes.
But the jockeys who ride the most winners tend to do it by just getting everything right from the start, so there's no drama.
Absolutely.
And that is very much what Adel does.
Yeah, I was just watching Harvey there, the third horse, who sort of tried to come down the outside as per what we saw in the first couple of races, but with that strong stayer in front, that was never going to be for catching. I mean, look, in fairness to Oisin, He found himself in trouble early. As you say, maybe he's rushed forward a little bit quicker than he should have done, but he has managed to get Hey Nabaha very much into the race.
Yeah, I mean, he's finished second to a very good horse in the end, and I think I wouldn't be particularly critical of Ocean's Mind. And again, it's the first time, he had very little experience here at the track, and he would have expected to be in a reasonably good stalking position on this horse. So when that went wrong after 50 yards, you have to make an instant decision about what you're going to do. And he's gone with the horse is obviously a powerful traveller anyway. He was able to get past lesser horses to get into a good position, but by definition, you're also using up a little bit of your finishing petrol in doing so. But he gave himself a winning chance. He just wasn't good enough against a horse who was better positioned and stays stronger.
Yeah, that was a nice performance, wasn't it, from the perfect position for the winner. Now we're going to drop it down a notch. There's a winner to be found though in the local bred maiden for these 4-year-olds, going 1,600 metres. Probably not surprisingly, Hashim Murphy doesn't have a ride in this particular race, and connections are, I think, are represented anyway. Very open, Rory, 100 to 30 the field. They're looking at the top horse, the unexposed Alanzar Albertine as the early market leader, coming here with just a couple of runs under the belt.
Yeah, there's not an awful lot of form to latch onto in this contest. But Alanze Albertine is the obvious one, having taken a big step forward from debut after a break last time out to finish second.
A year off, I think, between the first run and the second run. So you've got to feel, I think that second run was back end of January. So again, often you have a long break, you don't talk about coming back too quickly in the bounce factor. So
yes.
He's had, what, 7 weeks, 6-7 weeks off? Should be time enough to get over.
Yeah, that should be fine. And it's not like, I don't mind them coming back from a fair break if their initial run was just a run for experience. Then you're less likely to hit the bounce than most horses would do. He's run a solid race last time out. It's difficult to know exactly. The question is, was he running above himself last time out to finishing second, in which case he might recoil a bit from it, or was that just a hint of the ability that he has, in which case he steps forward?
Yeah, who knows?
We don't know until we see him out. He's drawn and stole 20.
Okay.
Which makes it a little bit difficult for him, but he's clearly got a fair degree of ability.
We will expand more on that after John has given us all the runners and riders.
Thanks, chaps. Yes, this is a local bred horses maiden contest over the 1,600 metres. Alanze Albertine is horse number 1, Fahad Al Faredi. 2 is Al Mandar, Nawaf Al Fayrouz. 3 is Anna Al Sultan, the man of Abdul Salam Al Kridis. Horse number 4 is Astad Abdullah Al Kridis. Horse number 5 is Ba'eth, the man of Mohammed Suleiman. And number 6 is Barak Alays, Nawaf Al Muriani. 7 is Bahas, Thab Al Timyat. 8 is Easy Horse, Salman Al Rashid. Horse number 9 is Itara Shana Domiciano Delgado. Horse number 10 is Harlan, the man of Tariq Al Mansour. 11 is Ibn Marcuz, Abdulaziz Al Yesh. And number 12 is Urtify, Adil Al Faredi, that man again. Number 13 is Khalaf, Sultan Al Mamoni. 14 is Mutasarreh, Abdullah Al Saidi. Horse number 15 is Nasim Al Bar, Fawaz Wanas. 16 is Kadeh, Osama Al Sharani. Horse number 17 is Tho Azam, Ayad Al Turisi. Horse number 11 is Wanem Fik, Khaled Al Mamoni. Horse number 19 is Gala Laden, that's the man of Muath Al Rukai. And horse number 20 is Ya Ba'id Hom, Rakan Al Obeid. So 20 runners go to post. We go to Callum.
Thank you very much, John. Let's focus on horse number 1, who comes towards me now. This is Alanze Albertine. Really striking individual, I must admit. I was a little bit sceptical about what he'd look like in the paddock, because I know he's got great form, but I wanted to see him up close. And up close, he ticks all the boxes. He's a big, raw, strapping individual. Certainly, this 4-year-old looks like he's come out that last run in really good shape. Nothing negative about this one in the paddock at all. He's having a bit of a flick around, a bit of a look, clearly ready to go today, and is very unexposed. Like we said, compared to lots of these, if he can repeat the form of his last run, he will be hard to beat. Let's drop our way right back to the 7 here. There's a few of these that came in late in the parade ring, the 7 being one of them, Bahas, but it's a really nice one to look at when you get to see him up close. Saab Al Timyat in the saddle. Again, taking off that crucial 1 kilo and looking for the double. Not the best of movers and a bit fluffy under the belly for sure, but he does feel the eye, and Bahar certainly shouldn't be ignored. A rating of 45 kind of tells you everything you need to know about this one, but a nice enough type that when you walk into him, you really get a sense of how chunky he is. In behind, Easy Horse. Oh, how am I glad to see Easy Horse once again. I feel like I've missed this horse all season. Salman Al-Shareed on board, claiming the 2. Not the biggest fan of that rider, if I say so myself, but Easy Horse looks well enough in the parade ring. Carries a rating of 53 here. In the money last time. Another repeat effort would have him in the money once again. Doesn't blow you away in the parade ring though. Looks fit, but certainly a bit dull in the coat and getting a little bit warm behind the saddle as well. We'll run our way back through them here. The next one we're going to have a look at is the 13, unlucky for some. This is Karlaf, just coming towards me now. Comes with a rating of 58 and is well worth watching here. Karlaf really catches the eye. Probably will be my pick of the paddock. Comes out of stall 15, which is a negative, but Karlaf is an absolute stunner. In the colours of Best Alakem, who we saw having a stalls test earlier on today. Sultan Al-Mimoni on board as well, which is always a positive, claiming 2. He's going to be the paddock pick for me.
Yeah, best colours we're going for, or some of us are going for, with Karlaf. But we talked about this favourite, Alanze Alabatine, who was obviously off for so long. Here is that comeback run, so let's see what we can take away from this.
Yeah, you see him in between horses in that front group there with the noseband. Running on well to finish a very good second to Yaflan, who's an above average performer. I thought he would fade from the 2 furlong pool, really, given how long he'd been off the track, but he's actually very strong in the finish and keeps running at Yaflan and coming clear of the others. This is a nice performance. Maybe in the last 50 metres he just shows signs of weariness, but that's a really good comeback from, as you said, over a year off the track. He should come forward for it. He looks in very good condition as well.
Yeah, and we're looking at
this is Ertify, yeah, in the 2 shades of blue with a white cap, looking to come through to win here. But once he gets a side at the front, he just hangs a little bit and gets caught by the horse in the green colours. That's Mohib Al Dureya on the near side. Sawas also runs on from further back to grab second. So Ertify looked like he was in pole position at one stage, but has ended up plugging on again when he was headed. I think he's happy to chase horses. He's got plenty of experience. He's got ability.
Maiden, yeah.
He runs like a long-standing maiden. You know, he likes the company of other horses, and he doesn't go away when he's got the opportunity. But horses like that can find things falling into their laps occasionally, and if you can time your run perfectly, then you can get it done. And every now and again with a horse like that, the penny just drops, and they suddenly realise that winning races is okay.
Do you think it gets harder though the longer? I mean, I totally take on board what you're saying, but you've got a horse now who's hit 14 without a win. Does it get to the stage where, well, if they haven't won inside 8 or 7 or 8 with that kind of style?
I tend to think that way. It'd be very interesting if you kept a record of how you looked at maiden races and your little biases, and I would tend to be against horses who'd had multiple runs without winning.
Yeah, I'd be with you.
You probably end up overrating horses who've had one run and showed a little bit of promise, and you think, well, that's going to. You tend to expect improvement from horses who've had 1 or 2 runs, when some of them just run to their level very quickly anyway. So we're probably a little bit biased in that regard, but you do have to ask questions when horses have had so many runs, particularly when they're well placed, that they're found weaker opportunities to win races. You know, if a horse has run in a Class 2 race and finished second, and then it drops to Class 3 and finishes second, and drops again, and then stuck in a cellar and still finishing second, you know there's something about the horse there, and it's not just a case of the form.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of positives. That horse that won the race we just showed on the VT is rated 60. You know, 60 here would win this, so to get close to 60. And also you've got Adele on side if you're playing the 12, so that's a very, very big positive. So we obviously like the one who is the 130 favourite. I mean, is it more open than it should be? Is Alanze Albertine?
If he wasn't, I mean,
priced?
stall 20 is you know,
that's the
it's
thing.
it's not necessarily an awful draw for a very classy horse in a race that's run in a certain way, but for inexperienced horses, it can be a big negative. We saw 2 horses in one of our previous races just hopelessly tailed off from wide draws. They came out reasonably slowly. They were detached from the other runners, and they just didn't know what to do. You know, in greyhound racing terms, they didn't chase the hare. And that can happen when you're drawn very wide because everything seems to be happening somewhere else. If you've got natural speed, that gives you a chance of coming across. What you don't want if you're drawn wide is for something with more speed than you to come out in front of you and stop you making that run. Again, he looks to be the horse with the best form chance in the book. He looks really well in his skin as well, doesn't he? And he clearly hasn't gone backwards physically from that run. So you'd like to think that he'll be sharp enough, and he's very much on his toes in a positive way. That he'll be sharp enough to bounce out and make the running here, or at least race very handily. And his draw shouldn't be the losing of the race. But we say that often enough, and then something happens in the race, and you go, oh, well, he ended up being badly positioned. So it's, you pay your money and you take your choice.
You do, and you factor everything in, of course. What do you make of the 13 horse here, Calaf, who's not had a lot of racing and was off the track, I think, for a long time between runs, been off again, so...
Yeah, that's, I mean, I've written that he might be hard to train.
Top mark, though, in this group.
Yeah, well, he was placed in, he was third in an open race last season. I didn't think it was a very good open race. It was quite a small field, but did show promise on both starts over this course and distance. Made his return over 1,200 metres, which would have been too short, but was a reasonably short price for that. Could only finish fifth. Ibn Marcuse is in the race, was in front of him that day and third. He needs to step up, and if he was running 3 weeks later, I'd be pretty positive about him. A spin over 1,200 metres to blow away the cobwebs, and then stepping up to his ideal trip. But 4 months off after that does raise questions and suggest that he has had his training problems, and that was just a little bit of a sticking point for me.
It's the kind of race where an upset wouldn't surprise us. Have you got anything that could go well at sort of away from the top end of the market, or?
I could, one that just caught my eye walking past us, who hasn't shown much in 2 starts. Again, if I'm going to look for a shock in a race like this, I'm going to look for a horse that's maybe had 1 or 2 runs and has just been clueless, particularly from a stable where they let the horses learn on the track. And Bahas caught my eye, looking well, looking fitter than last time out. 2 runs to date, was tailed off on debut, wasn't beaten nearly so far last time, although was still only midfield. Neither of those runs really good enough to think that the Bahas is good enough to win this. Gets a rating of 45. But horses often end up with really lowly ratings after 2 or 3 runs here, which are just needed for experience, and suddenly they can take off after that. So I wouldn't be surprised if a horse like Bahas took a big step forward tonight.
Yeah, that's a backable price, certainly. As boring as it might be, I'm sticking with the phone. I think 7-2 is a not unfair price if we can cheat the draw with Alanzay Albertine. So I'll take the top.
And just consulting my notes to make sure that I did make my selection. Yeah, my selection is number 1, Alanzay Albertine as well. With you again.
Well, we're on the same one.
And you're not even reading my notes out. So I'll assume you're making your own decisions here, Darryl.
I'd like to hope so, but we'll see how we go. Callum, so I mean, it'd be ridiculous to have 3 selections on the same horse, but it's possible.
It is possible, but it is indeed ridiculous because I will be going with the 13 Calaf. Coming out still 15, so not blessed with a great draw either, but just looked a real paddock positive for me. On the other hand, big paddock negative for the 19 Gala Ladden. This is the horse making debut here at King Abdulaziz Racecourse. She was not very keen to go to post, and shout out to Moaz Al-Rakei, who is her very young jockey, claiming the 4 kilos here. She's basically running loose. He had to do very well to sit on as she reared up going into the chute, and then had to be led in hand down to the start. Once she got going, she was fine, but she's clearly not the easiest of conveyances, and I would be looking elsewhere if you were keen on the 19. Another one that was a bit of an eye catcher, but has very little form to go on, with 1M Seek, the 40 rated runner, horse number 18. Looked in really good shape, must admit. Khaled Al-Mimoni on board as well. That's not a bad jockey booking. If you were looking for something that's shown very, very little but looked fit, I would be intrigued by 1M Feek, who also gets the draw in 3. This is an opportunity. Look, if he can't do it here, it's going to be very, very hard to find a race for him to win, but you'd hope he could run at least into a place on this occasion. Ertefay is another one. Obviously, we've seen the video form with that horse finishing 3rd last time. But Khalef, who's got fairly decent form figures to the name, a 6th, a 3rd and a 5th, looked really good in the prelims, has Sultan Al-Mamoni on board, whose huge value for his 2 kilo claim will be the pick for me. John Blance, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Callum, and the guys in the studio. They are putting them in for race number 4. Once again, we're over the 1600 metres as we were for the previous contest. So we do a little time comparison as well at the end of the race. I know how to live. The 5 horses about to come in. That's Baeth. Here towards the near side going in is Easy Horse. Another big field here. You get your money's worth as far as runners are concerned. Asdal to come forward in those green and black colours. The 10 is Harland. The 19 is Gala Ladden. We'll have about 4 more left to go in. The one that 2 of our pundits, Darrell and Rory, like, Almanzé Albertine, about to go in there. As we look at Stall's cam, you can see there from the more conventional camera angle in the background, the blue and red colours. The 3 horse still to go in is Anna Al Sultan. So Anna Al Sultan, Al Mandar to go in. There's Al Mandar. Sheepskin noseband for that one. Once Al Mandar is in, I think we'll have a full complement. 3 just backing away. I think that's playing on the mind there of Al Mandar. Still on debut, this one, so this is all a bit of a new experience. And Anna Al Sultan is also on debut, hence maybe the reticence to come forward. And we're still waiting for Gala Ladden and of Muath Al Rukai, Callum was mentioning. Anna Al Sultan's got the blindfold on for Stall's entry. Oh, Gala Ladden has reared up 180 degrees there. That is not promising. And Muath Al Rukai has been deposited on the dirt. I wouldn't be desperately keen to get back on, but jockeys are made of sterner stuff than me. And a young man who's got to get back aboard, well, he's waiting. He wouldn't be a human being if he wasn't a little bit sheepish about the thought of getting back on that horse again. Now, are they all in? This looks promising. They are off and racing for this local bred horses maiden contest. Almanzé Albertine away all right, but has got to navigate across from that very wide draw. Prominent in the early stages, Ibn Marcuse and Harland, they're up with the pace, as indeed is Easy Horse, who's not too far away as the field now just begins to congest and head all down towards that rail. After that, we have Ertify, who's been a pretty consistent type for a while now, though still yet to win in 14 starts. Also there is Bahas in the red and black colours, and Easy Horse just in advance of that one. Then towards the outside, we've got Gala Ladden, and here, right round the outer, Almanzé Albertine. The blue and red colours still 5 wide at the turn, but still goes pretty well. So they're making the bend, and it's Asdal who's come through to take it up in those lime green colours. Right on the rail in second position is Ertify, the sheepskin noseband, followed then in third position by Harland, who's in the hands of Tariq Al Mansour, just going backwards a little bit now. Round the outside, Ibn Marcuse is still there. Almanzé Albertine is travelling strongly and jogs into third spot now, and has eyes on the leading duo as they make the turn for home and level up. It's Ertify, now tackled and passed by Asdal. He's being asked every question now, Almanzé Albertine, but is responding, and it's Almanzé Albertine who's come through to hit the front. Almanzé Albertine by a couple of lengths now to in second position. Asdal looks a little bit tired, staying on really strongly is One Amfique from the back of the field, but it's Almanzé Albertine by about 3/4 of a length to One Amfique, who hasn't gone away but isn't going to overhaul Almanzé Albertine. Almanzé Albertine has beaten One Amfique. Third horse home was Asdal, and the fourth over the line, Easy Horse. That's what Rory and Darrell have paid the big bucks for. A winner, and a very nice winner at that. Almanzé Albertine. Good ride. Fahad Al Faradi This horse had to overcome gate 20. Didn't panic. The jockey horse was out. Reasonable start, nothing brilliant, so couldn't kind of spear across the field straight away. But 1600 here at Riyadh, he got that long run to get to the bend and was just able to float on down to get to a sort of 4-wide posse as they took the turn. And well, this horse had shown a bit of promise in 2 runs, and maybe Alpha Rady came to the conclusion that he was on the best horse in the race. And he was. 1M Feeks ran a good race to finish there in second on start number 5. They paired off, haven't they? Asdal finished in third. Easy Horse was fourth. That was the 1, 2, 3, 4. Time 1:42.89, so considerably slower than the first race over the 1600 metres. So that's nothing to write home about. But Alanze Albertine can do no more than beat the horses in front of him, and that's exactly what he's done. That was race 4.
Well, it was a tricky draw, wasn't it, to overcome? But overcome it, Alanze Albertine most certainly did from gate number 20, travelling well. Again, the producer was screaming this one home, but wasn't quite over, was it? Because 1M Feek was making some kind of late headway.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where exactly 1M Feek came from, sort of mid-race, because he loomed up on the outside of the field in behind Alanze Albertine. And again, we're talking about horses getting wide on the straight and running on strongly, but he couldn't keep straight. He ended up drifting and hanging left towards the inside wheel, and that's exactly where he ended up in the end. But he's only gone down by, what, half a length or so in the end, and if he managed to keep straight, 1M Feek, he could have produced a little bit of a shock there. Completely unsighted in 4 races to date, and wouldn't be a standout in the paddock at all. Looks like a coat hanger to me. No flesh on him, quite a raw-boned individual, but he's showed improved form to finish second. But our winner was very professional and was given a patient ride and a clever ride just to gradually make up that ground and get across from the outside without burning up too much fuel. Yeah, look, you've got to factor lots of things into consideration. I was getting quite excited about the horse on the last run, having had a little bit of a break coming into this, and you sort of went store 20, but you factor it all in. I thought 100 to 30, I said before, and wasn't an unreasonable price, and he has landed the odds in a very competitive-looking local maiden. Here's Callum with more.
Oh, Farhad Al-Faradi, the picture of calm aboard this winner, Alanze Albertine, who has just about taken it from 1M Feek, who's run an absolute stormer. We mentioned him just before the off, that look, he looked the best I've seen him in the parade ring, and although he's shown no form in 4 starts, it was 5th time lucky from that draw in stall 3. He's run a stormer to finish second there, so well done if anyone did pick him for a little each way play, but just couldn't get the better of the one who, I think, as you guys have mentioned, a lovely price there, 100 to 30. Well done if you found him. He looked very good in the parade ring. I was just slightly more drawn to the 13, but well done, guys, in the studio. A very good performance from a horse who is certainly going in the right direction.
Yeah, so there is a popular winner in terms of market status here. If you've had backed that winner, maybe you listened to our advice, maybe you didn't listen to us at all, but just backed it anyway. Get in touch on the chat section of the YouTube channel here on the English-speaking service, and let's try and track down, if we can here, where 1M Feek
you can see him diving left to right as we look at him with a white face in behind, just still looking as, well, I want to call him green, but this was his 5th run, so looking awkward, but still running on quite strongly to get involved. But the winner was straight and true, and probably had a little bit up his sleeve if he was challenged, I feel. But 1M Feek certainly covered a little bit more yardage than he needed to in the final 2 furlongs there. Otherwise, he might have gone reasonably well. See the start again. We'll see that the favourite gets out okay, but it doesn't get out very fast. But Farhad Al-Faradi, he's gained a fair bit of experience. He's the lesser known of the multiple winning jockeys in the family, but he's ridden a fair few winners this season. He's a pretty cool head himself.
Poking through at the bottom of the screen, I think, there, so...
Yes.
Poking through at the bottom of the screen, I think, there, so...
Yes, obviously he gets himself on the outside, but then doesn't stay wide. He wants to duck back towards the rail, which has cost him ground. But yeah, he's made a lot of good ground from off the pace. But as we said, the winner has just done exactly what Fahad Al Faredi asked him to do. He's tracked the pace. He's allowed other horses to burn themselves out before he's got to the front, and he's still finding at the finish. I think if he does catch sight of the runner-up close home, I think he'll probably dig out a little bit more and find extra in the finish. And we see from that picture that he probably is just picking up again close home. The runner-up gets within 3/4 of a length, but the margin stays like that for the last 100 metres of the race.
Yeah, he didn't have a mark, but he chased home a horse rated 55 within a few lengths, so you'd probably put him in the sort of low 50s going into this race, and coming out the other side. I mean, do you think there'd be much of a revision?
Yeah, well, he has the looks of a horse who should be better than this mark. And I think the key with a horse like this is winning. What is, we have to be absolutely blunt about it, a very weak maiden. He has the attitude, the size, the looks to suggest he will be better than this. But I think the best thing to do with a horse in this sort of position, you can't give him a particularly high rating on the back of it. Low 60s, I would say, coming out of it. You know, even then, you're giving him marks for style. I would try to keep him in as weak a company as I could in the short term. Let him get more confidence from winning races before stepping up. I think a lot of maiden winners end up running in open races, and they can end up running against horses rated in the 80s or even the low 90s in those races, and it can just spoil their confidence. So I'd want to keep his confidence high by placing him to win the weakest races he can be put in the short term, and then he can gradually step up next season.
Okay, the good news is that Callum is no longer out on his own with a hefty one winner. We're 1-1-1 after 4 races. We're not getting too excited, but pleased to be off the mark. Now, Asheen was runner-up in his previous ride. He's going to ride the 24, who gets in here, Taz Harbour, in this contest, who I think is around about a 7-1 chance.
I was very surprised when this got in, and there were two very late non-runners before the deadline for runners in this race, which I think
just happened to be.
Maybe I'm being a bit cynical about that. You don't often see that, but obviously Tasaba is one of the more interesting horses on paper here. On the ratings, has a little bit to find, but a very lightly raced daughter of Blue Burner, who's capable of stepping up on recent efforts. So it's very interesting.
So we've got horses in here in the 80s, haven't we?
We do. So you know, horse like Swift Victory is rated 85. Will be, from my point of view, will be very hard to beat. But Tazaba obviously has that profile that she could be a lot better than the mark we've seen. Obviously, we've seen our last winner there. If you straight after a race, you look at a horse like that and go, he's a lot better than these. He's going to be better than the mark he gets. And you think, I'd like to see him running against better horses. And you can obviously, if you're in a maiden race and you're beating horses rated in the 50s and the low 60s, you're not going to get a really high mark for doing it. And she was just touched off last time out, Tazaba, despite probably showing improved form. She's given the mark that she's worth. I think the British handicapper, if she was running it.
This is the 5th race on the card. Al Bshur is horse number 1. It's the man of Abdullah Al Khamis. 2 is a non-runner. 3 is Alanda Wan, the mount of Mohammed Al Hubail. 4 is Ashkana, Fahad Al Faredi, just won the previous race. 5 is Bashawat, Luis Morales. 6 is Hadab, Abdullah Al Kradis. 7's a non-runner. 8 is Louis XIV, for all you fans of French history. That's the mount of Mukrin Al Mamimi. Horse number 9 is Marafwari, Abdullah Al Audib. Number 10 is Saudi Front, Rayan Al Tawash. Number 11 is Swift Victory, Mohammed Al Daham. Number 12 is Tawaj, Abdul Aziz Al Furedi. Horse number 13 is Vasilakos, Abdullah Al Hussein. And 14 is Wafig, Jose Rodriguez. Next out is Arabic Welcome, Abdullah Al Saidi. 16 is Desert Jewel, Tharbal Timyat. 17 is Nur Rose, Fawaz Wanas. 18 is Karnas, Adil Al Faredi. Horse number 19 is Anona. Horse number 20 is True Wisdom, Ahmed Al Azari. Number 21 is Rez. That's the man of Khalid Al Mamoni. There's more. Sokud is Osama Al Sharani's mount. And Tazaba is the man of Asheen Murphy. Right down at the bottom there, number 24. We're over a mile once again, and it's back to the boys.
Thank you, John. Yeah, and so it's 7-1 Taz Harbour if you fancy Asheen Murphy to strike gold. That puts him in a second favourite. I mean, maybe too short. I don't know. We'll see what Rory thinks of it at the moment. Swift Victory, though, is the strong order at 9-4 for the Red Hot team there. Al Bshur is 8-1 and 10's bar. So let's have a look at Swift Victory, and this run back on the 23rd of January, finishing 4th. This was an open.
Yeah, got to the front here, but you see, I think it was Ricardo Sosa Ferreira on board. Looked round a couple of times, looking for dangers, was trying to nurse his horse home. I don't think he quite stayed this day, and a couple of them come past him. He ends up dropping back to 4th, the unbeaten 8.5 lengths behind Thunder Squall, who's the horse on the inside, and the white colours with the blue braces. A useful performer, Thunder Squall. A good run for me for Swift Victory, and a horse who's liable to be seen to better effect in a slightly easier race, and at a trip that he should enjoy as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've scribbled down here, bit of a class drop, consistent type. We're on a mark of 85 now, so it's been a bit up and down, went all the way down, all the way back up again. And the right choice of favourite, you think, here?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I made Swift Victory my pick here because I think he's been running very well in good races, whereas one or two of these who are promising and capable of better need to step up a little, but I think he deserves his rating of 85. He's only got the one win from 13 starts, the son of Saxon Warrior. He's not a win machine, but he's been found a good opportunity here, and he's undoubtedly the horse they have to beat.
The horse have to beat. And in terms of a Sheen's ride here, the bottom horse, Tas Harbour, is the 7-1 second favourite status. How much of the presence of a Sheen on board is factored into that price?
Definitely a little bit. But I mean, she's really at the start of her career. Won a 1400 maiden in January and improved, went second last time out. Needs to improve again, but clearly going the right way.
Right, here's Callum to try and find us the winner in the paddock.
Thank you, Daryl. I will be trying my best, and we'll start with the 3. Alhandoan is a real stamp of an individual here, this 4-year-old colt. He's by First Defence, and he really is a model. Good-looking type. Just getting a little bit warm between the hind-quarters and the staff. We just catch him from behind here. Just see he's getting a little bit warm between his back legs. That would be my only concern, but he's certainly a good-looking, powerful individual. Let's drop our way back. We're going to drop back quite a few here, all the way back to the 10 Saudi front is the next one we're going to see. We just scoot our way back through the parade ring, past a few of them. Saudi front in the red and white colours coming towards us now. Good looking type here, got the cross nose band on. Look, it's very, very long. Look, you could fit a family of 5 on the back of him, but it certainly is a horse here who catches the eye by looking in front on. But the angle that you're looking at him now is probably his best side, because once you get alongside him, you realise there's still quite a lot of horse to fill out. He's only a 4-year-old here. I imagine next season he could be slightly better. Let's go back to Swift Victory, the 11 here, gorgeous individual. Thought he was in a really good run of form earlier this season. He's had some tough tasks since, but he's a lovely, lovely type, and as you can see, really catches the eye. Mohammed Al-Daham and Samar Al-Dahani looking for their first winner of the evening, and it's not usually a surprise to see those two team up with a winner on the card. Nice type, the 11. Let's go back to the 12, who's even better looking in my opinion. This is Tawaj. Seen plenty of this horse. Gorgeous, really fills the eye, looks fit as a flea today as well. Is a little bit woolly in that winter coat, which is a bit of a surprise now as the temperature continues to increase here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but he walks fantastic, doesn't he? Watch the way he covers the ground as he walks, and certainly has to be on your shortlist. Still an entire as a 5-year-old, but that doesn't seem to be affecting his running as he finished 3rd last time out. And we'll drop all the way back now to 2 more to look at, the 20 and the 24. Pretty sure are the last 2 I want to peep at. They are. True Wisdom is the 20. Now this horse, although doesn't have some of the best form, is a real looker. Look at the way he marches around the parade ring. Really catches the eye. He's built European style. He's an Irish bred. He is getting a little bit warm in the coat, as you can see, with that winter coat still coming through. But he's really taking a firm grip, which I like to see in the parade ring. Marching out, strong look. You can see a very clear indication of his poverty line in behind as well. There's plenty to like about her. She really does stride out nicely. I think she's a nice type. Maybe she could develop a little bit more in the neck, but she's only 4 and she still has plenty of time ahead of her for her to get more form. But 5th last time out, I wouldn't be surprised to see her finishing in the money once again. Although she does have Ahmed Al-Zahani on board, it would be a big result for him if this horse could win. And then we were looking for the 24, who has escaped our view. So we'll have to go back to you, boys. The 24 was in here, but it's disappeared very, very quickly.
He was there, and now Sheen and Tas Harbour are not anymore. I was pleased to hear positive comments from Callum regarding Tawaj, the 12 horse, because I'm going to go with the 12 horse here, a little bit of a price. And my theory relates to the run over 1,000 metres when finishing third last time. That was the early part of February. Ran well behind a much higher rated horse, so I'm kind of upping that effort, and I'll do so because it's still quite unexposed, Tawaj. So Tawaj, yeah, at a bit of a price. We'll get my selection.
Got a positive from me, although I realise at some stage that I've managed to mix up a couple of my comments here. But my comments on Tawaj, unplaced his first 2 starts this term, but back to his best after a short break, went third to the talented Los Andes, and of course in distance open last time out, and has every chance if he's in the same form now.
Yeah, runners are about to leave the paddock then. Mohammed Al-Daham is on board this favourite, who is trading at 9 to 4. Then we've got Tashaba at 7s. 8 to 1 is Alb Sir. That's the top horse, taking a jump up in distance, I think, today. And Saudi Front at 10s, along with Tawaj, and also Quanas is on 10s, the 18 as well, now under Adele. So we know that I think you're keen on the 11, was that right? Or were you looking?
Yeah, 11 and 12 were both interested, although I've marked them down as 10 and 11 on my sheet, which is confusing to me and whoever I sent that to as well. Yes, Tawaj we just mentioned, as I said, we saw Swift Victory finishing 4th to Thundersquall last time out in a strong 2,000 metre open, but he doesn't really stay the 2,000 metre trip. He had a decent enough form in the UK. He hasn't won since he's come here, but he has finished second in good contests behind Time Najd and Al Mulhelm. I thought he was better in the result last time. As I said, Ricardo Sosa Ferreira was trying to nurse him home over 2,000 metres, but you could tell that he didn't quite stay the trip. I thought that was a good performance in the circumstances, and he should bounce back to run a big race here. So I thought he was the one they had to beat.
Yeah, they're just about to make their way out onto the race course. This is the 5th race, 5th of our 9 this evening. It's for horses that have won either 0 races or 1 race. We're travelling over 1,600. They're local breds and imported horses, and you're watching this on the English-speaking service of the Jcsa coverage here. Live from Riyadh, you're watching this action as it unfolds. We're 3 hours ahead of UK time and 8 hours ahead of East Coast time in the States. Don't ask me what the time differential is between here and Australia, but somebody will know, and if you're watching in Australia, let us know exactly what time of the day it is. But yeah, what are we now? 10:38, getting on towards 10:45 in the evening?
Yes, yeah.
Doesn't seem quite that late. And the rain was coming down earlier, which shocked and
very
surprised
confusing.
a
I
few.
don't know I don't know what time it is, and I don't know where I am most of the time when I'm here. I'm working on 2 different
As long
clocks.
as you remember your name.
Working on the Saudi clock, also working on the UK clock as well, because I got work to do there. Open. He often looks a big danger in his races. Doesn't always find for pressure what you think he might, and his career record of 1 win from 21 starts does tell a story. But he's more than capable of getting involved. He's quite a big price here, I think. Whatever price he is, he's got the talent to run.
Scrolling further down. He's 16 to 1. He was due to run in a race last weekend and got pulled out, so I'm not sure the reason behind that, but he's definitely here today, and he, as you say, will try and do his best to enhance that strike rate, of course. I mean, there are lots of exposed horses. These are obviously, it's open to maidens. I don't think I could find any maidens in this race. I might have missed something, but from what I could see, they're virtually winners of 1. Some of these have had 20 runs, some of these have had 30 runs.
Yeah, all these races are oversubscribed as well, so it'll be the horses who haven't won who would end up not making the cut for races like this.
So priority given to the winners of 1.
Priority given to winners in good races like this.
That
I'm not
makes
sure
sense.
exactly what all the rules for balloting are, but it's liable to be races won. And possibly based on official ratings as well. Actually, in some of these races, it's a completely random ballot. You see horses who you think, if this gets in the race, it'll nearly win. It'll be rated almost the highest in the race. So certain races, obviously, it's the reason why horses are down the ballot is different from others. But I think in these oversubscribed races, it tends to be the better horses that get in. You don't really want to have 100 horses entered in a race like this, and then for 14 unraced ones to rock up when it's open to horses rated in the 80s. You'd rather see the best horses getting a chance.
Yeah, that makes plenty of sense, doesn't it? And I think this race was originally actually carded as a maiden or on the very advanced programme, and therefore has been open to 0 to 1. And as you say, we've ended up in theory with a race for winners of 1. But yeah, I guess that the thing is as well, we're coming to the end of the season now. We talked about this last week with Tom, and you know, horses are having to be entered for races that they probably don't want to go into because
Yes,
there's
exactly.
limited opportunities.
And it's difficult to work out what races to put on at the end of the season when you're devising that program at the start.
So far ahead,
because
yeah.
you'll get to particular Taif would be an interesting case as well, because a lot of horses who race in Taif will come here, and we spoke to Jimmy Jerkins last season, for example, and he wanted to get here early so he get his horses used to the track before they ran, rather than run them all the way through the season and then arrive with racing due to start here. So he didn't run many horses in the last few weeks of Taif, so that he could actually get them transported to the track in Riyadh, get a bit of track work done, find out where they stood, and at the end of the season, you know, you may well find that horses who've been on the go all season, you know, the trainers or their owners are happy to sort of rough them off and give them a break before A, if they're going to go to Taif, or B, if they're going to come back to Riyadh next season, they might need a longish break. But when you're devising that program in the first place, you don't know what the population is going to be like for the races that you're running, so you might need to make minor changes, and I'm not entirely sure how much leeway there is to do that here.
This is very interesting news just coming in regarding race 9 this evening, the Jockey of Education Cup. This is the statement that's been issued. This race was scheduled as an unsanctioned event and has erroneously been added to the card. As such, the Jcsa is advising that no wagering is to be accepted on this race, with their apologies for any inconvenience. So obviously the race is going to be run, but it will be run purely just as an event
and
with
it's worth pointing out why that might be. It's I'm not entirely sure about the background to the I can't get the race title is a funny one. Jockey of Education, Education of Jockeys Cup. And it's obviously for young apprentice jockeys who've gone through some sort of training program. We do have other unsanctioned races run at this track, and the reason they're unsanctioned is because there will be something that's beyond the reach of the Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia in terms of the organisation of that, and we have that with a meeting we have in January.
Okay, so that's the final race, race number 9 will happen, but there won't be any international wagering on that race. Right, selections, Tawaj, 12 for me.
Number 11, Swift Victory for me.
Okay, 12 and 11 this side. What's Callum got for us?
Yeah, it's a toughie. It's between the 11 and the 3, and I'm just drawn on the 11. That's the pick. If you like the 24, that has been standing beyond the vet tape here. So 24, just keep your tickets close to you here if you like the 24, because certainly went down to post early and was being led without a rider. Hopefully all is well, and we'll let you know if anything changes. It's still down as the runner on my screen, but I'd just say one to watch. Swift Victory, the 11, just getting a little bit warm. There's the 24, getting very warm, as I thought as much. The 24 is getting very, very warm. That would be a big negative to me. Clearly a nervous individual. I remember when she ran earlier in the season. In fact, I think I've seen both her victories, both her runs this season, when she won and then she finished second, but she didn't get this warm. But she's got very, very warm. That would be a concern to me with the 24. The 11 is also getting quite warm, so that's another one that would be a slight negative now down at the start. So with that in mind, I'm going to change. I'm going to go for the 3. I'll hand the 1. Rory likes the 11, and Daryl likes the 12. John, it's over to you.
Yes, they're loading them up, a big field, and yeah, we're keeping an eye on that 24 horse as well, Tazabar, who will hopefully be fully jocked up shortly, but at the moment it's the 20 True Wisdom going in, the 3 Alhandawan moves forward. Noah Rose will be next. Then towards the outer is Karnas. There's the 11, Swift Victory. Alb Shur to go in as well, gate 12 for Alb Shur. Swift Victory, stall 6, should be a pretty good position to take up a nice place in the race for this horse that's well fancied by both Rory and Callum. Alb Shur goes in, big field once again, 1600 once again. Flag up from behind the stalls. Ooh, 1 or 2 getting a little bit leery. Louis XIV. No, it's not Louis XIV. It's the horse in stall 8. Might even be Swift Victory who's getting a little bit nervous in the starting gate. Tazaba, you can see that the white stable colours worn by Oisin Murphy, he's just up in the saddle as well, and that one is now moving out. So there have been issues with this horse, both down at the start and now in the gate itself, and the prospect of its participation in this race must be receding somewhat. I think they're going to try it again. Swift Victory's been taken out as well. Both being vetted. Now these are two horses quite well fancied on the international markets as well, so this is going to just rejig things a little bit if one or both of them don't go. Stress nothing's been confirmed yet. The 17 is out as well, Noah Rose. This is Noah Rose. Fowers Wana support. Swift Victory is still quite a long way behind them, but Mohammed Al Daham is back on top. So all a little bit dramatic down at the start, but hopefully all will be well that ends well. Full complement once again, and this time they go. They are racing quite slowly away with Swift Victory. A bit awkward out the gates as well, Tazaba, as they head on through the early stages. Alandawan, the red cap, the red headgear is prominent. Also up with the early pace is Mara Fury, one that's now making good early progress is Tazaba, pulling quite hard as well for Oisin Murphy. Then towards the outside, Noah Rose, the white cap, another one who's up with the pace as well. There is Tawaj as they make their way through the early stages. Swift Victory is now trying to get involved down on the rail, but it's a rather awkward passage at the moment. They're then followed by Louis XIV in mid-division, the black and white colours. Black and white and wide on the course is Bashawat, so that's the leading tranche of runners as they make their way around the turn. Alandawan, Mohammed Al Hubail out in front. In second position, Marafuori. Towards the outside, we've got Tazaba for Oisin Murphy now being driven along. After that, in fifth position, Noah Rose. A set of goggles has come down for Mohammed Al Daham aboard Swift Victory, who's now just picking one or two of them off, but none goes better than this leader. Alandawan turns for home, 2 furlongs left to go with a lead of 4 or 5 lengths to Marafuori's racing in second. Now push has come to shove for Swift Victory, who's trying to get going, but it's at a rather torrid passage. Now one that's staying on from the back is Karnas, but well inside the closing stages. Alandawan's got a massive lead here, 6 or 7 lengths the advantage. Staying on from the back is Desert Jewel, the sheepskin noseband, making up lots and lots of ground, but it's Alandawan who still leads. Desert Jewel is getting closer with every stride. Alandawan leads the line, but is going to find it. Alandawan beats Desert Jewel. Another late finisher there was Arabic Welcome, who got going from a different part of the Arabian Peninsula, and Sokut has finished in 4th. Alandawan has scored in a time of 1 minute 41.40, flagged up by Callum Helliwell. A nice price as well. Alandawan has won with Desert Jewel in second, beaten a length and a quarter. That one's come from a long way back. There are quite a few of them coming from a long way off the pace. 1 or 2 hard luck stories in the run, most notably Swift Victory, who got a bad start and then was sandwiched in between a whole load of horses in the early part of the race, had to work it into it for a little while for Swift Victory supporters, where he looked like he might be making really good headway, but it's all in the end taken its toll. Desert Jewel second, Arabic Welcome was third, Sokut was fourth. 1 minute 41.4 for that third race over a mile today. But it's Alandawan, Mohammed Al Hubail, who scored in race 5.
Well, there it is. Alhandawan, 3 on the card. That's another winner for Callum. More significantly, that's another big price winner for Callum. He's sticking them out. So I hope you're following the advice from the paddock this evening. 16 Desert Jewel in second place, then 15 Arabic Welcome in third, and 23 Sakut was back in fourth. Yeah, good selection. Look, we praise his knowledge in the parade ring, because that was a good one to point out. By
Jumped ship very late in the day, did Callum.
Yeah,
but
he was
he's,
with you, wasn't he? And then he wasn't with you.
Yeah, came from stall 1, but it's not like we can say that's made a massive difference, because it's not like stall 1 has a massive advantage here. But Alhandawan was always handy from that spot and was able to control the race. Big turnaround from his latest run. He ran in a 0 to 75 handicaps, a weaker race really than this when you look at who was in here. Was beaten quite a long way behind Lagil Thati, again coming from stall 1. On his previous start he'd run well. He was third to Green of Truth in a winners of 1. But again, either side of that, before that he'd been well beaten in a course and distance open behind Moltke. And he's been inconsistent this season, but this is his second win over course and distance from 6 runs, so he's pretty well suited by track and chip. As long as he gets the run of things, he clearly needs to dominate. And he was very happy when he got out in front here, and was always turning away any challengers. But a couple of runs this season have made it look like he sulked a little bit, finishing well beaten.
Look, he was a long way down the ratings. He took a little bit of finding, but our man, he knew, did Callum.
I've got to say, this one I can't take full credit for, because I had a bit more time watching them down at the start, and the reason why I turned off Swift Victory was that horse was getting very, very warm down at the start. Same thing can be said for Tezibar as well, and Nor Rose. They all got very, very warm in the prelims. And this horse, yeah, the run last time out was hugely disappointing, but that was 2.5 months ago. Lagil Thati won that, was dropped in like a good thing on that occasion, and it was over a trip that was too short for this horse, but he's clearly got enough speed to be bang up there over a mile, and he's really, really enjoyed it today under Mohammed Al Hibail, and he's won well. So it's not quite the paddock pick, but he looked great in the prelims, and he was the only one that handled himself down at the start.
Well, let's have a look at the finish here. Alhandawan coming home at a big price. It was Desert Jewel who was catching the eye, making some late progress.
Yeah, Desert Jewel you see on the red cap and sleeves, running on strongly, and actually they're closing the gap quite markedly towards the line. The race essentially put to bed off the home turn, but I suppose the winners did get a little bit tired, a little bit lonely in the last 100 metres, and Desert Jewel was eating into that margin all the way to the line.
Yes, another big price. Well, let's have a look at it from the start. Swift Victory was drawn sort of low enough in the 6 box early on. I mean, it was a real contested lead, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But our winner was always pretty handy, disputing the lead even from this stage.
Yeah,
There's
right.
only 5 of them who want to get it, but he's on the rail there and does win it. Marafwari went up there early on. We also had our reserve, Tazaba, who got very, very warm beforehand, looked like she was going to be withdrawn at one stage. She raced freely up with the pace early on, but didn't see it out. She ran her race upside down, essentially. And now, having gone 2 or 3 furlongs, Alhandawan has got the lead on his own, just kept that rails pitch. 1 or 2 of the others who wanted to get there have just weakened a little.
And Mike Tawar just dropped away very quickly there on the fence.
He's looking in a good position there. As you said, disappointing effort from your selection. Tawaj. Swift Victory moved up looking dangerous briefly, but then flattened out again as he did last time out, despite the drop in trip. But as Callum would say, a few of these got warm. There was a long loading process. They're not used to that here. We tend to take a while to load them up in the UK, and we expect horses to be able to deal with that. The loading process here tends to be very good.
And that's a very good point, isn't it, to make, because that is something different than not what the horses are used to. So maybe you can use that as a reason, perhaps, why some horses have underperformed.
Certainly, I mean, it's not particularly warm out there at the moment. It's mild enough, but a lot of horses getting very, very hot and bothered at the start. And if you can make a note of those, number 24 being one of them, the number 12, number 11, Swift Victory, another. Just make a note of that, and if you can, and if you see them running again, you might be more forgiving of their runs than you would be normally.
Yeah, that's a very good point to make, but the winner is in front as they make the turn in, and we're going to see a late charge, of course, from Desert Jewel in the red cap, who is Still a little way behind the principals, probably in about 9th or 10th position at the moment, but starting to unleash a run. And Arabic Welcome was the other horse who stays on in the white cap and the blue colours to the outside and will grab third.
Yeah, interesting. They're both coming from wide draws and then working their way through horses. Arabic Welcome, it was service drawn in stall 17. Desert Jewel drawn in stall 19. Alhandawal, as we said, the winner, able to dominate this from stall 1. Interestingly, although there were some highly rated horses in the race, the first 3 home were rated 70, 74 and 71. So I don't think the handicapper is necessarily going to get carried away with the form of this race, which is a good thing, because I think normally, you know, if a horse with a rating of 70 won this and, you know, the favourites rated 80 odd, Albshire rated 83, for example, we would have scenarios back home where you'd end up going up 10 or 12 pounds for that win. But I think you maybe get a £4 rise for Alhandawal. For winning,
I don't think it can be any more than that, really, can it? Now, if you like races where the field are very, very closely condensed, and when I say very closely, £2 between top and bottom weight here, Rory. This is going to test us all, isn't it? This local bred handicap coming up 0 to 65, so 65 to 63 is the range, and Sheen is going to be on the favourite, I think, as it stands. Moradam, the 4 horse, who is obviously for the white stable. That horse has got 1,800 metres winning form, recent winning form as well. Unexposed, I suppose. That's the immediate thing that grabs you with a Sheen. So I'd only had the 4 starts.
Yeah, and that's the thing to look for in races like this. Horses who've had limited runs have got the ability to get themselves out into these handicaps. Horses who end up constantly running in 0 to 60, 0 to 65 handicaps, they tend to need the handicapper to help them a little bit to find the opportunity to win a race, and again to get a bit of luck in running as well. Decent draw. Race falling their way. But a horse like Moradam, who's very well bred, a son of a premium tap, who's obviously been a little bit backward in getting the track. He's a 5-year-old now. He's only had the 4 runs. 1-2 starts to go. Not particularly difficult to forgive a lesser effort last time out. And this 0 to 65 handicap clearly isn't asking a huge amount of him. He was favourite when disappointing on handicap day, but no obvious reason for that. But obviously expected to do better on the back of that maiden win. With Oisin riding him today, again, you wouldn't want to be going mad about a horse like this at a very short price. And you know, the fact that he represents the top stable, the top sire right here.
I mean, it's 9 to 2 the field, isn't it?
The British champion jockey.
Hardly a strong favourite.
Yeah, but interested to see how he shapes up in the market, because you do have question marks about how he got on that handicap debut when unplaced. But he is a winner over course and distance. I would look for horses with form over 1,800 metres in these races.
Okay.
I think it can ride very differently to the 1,600.
Well, that flags up the second favourite, Sonic, who won the maiden. It had taken a long time in coming. It was 14th run, but won the maiden over 1,800 last time. So in as the 11 to 2 second pick, one that you will be considering under
Very
a
much
doubt?
so, yeah. The more I looked at Sonic, the more I actually liked him, because although he's very in and out form-wise, all his best runs have come over course and distance. His form figures over course and distance are 3-3-1. One of those placed efforts coming in a really good race as well.
Okay.
And although he's looked like, you know, just your average sort of 65 races handicapper on his other starts, clearly this course and distance is ideal for him, and I'd expect him to go very close.
So because this is 1,800, I mean, is it therefore easier to put a line through horses purely because you just don't think they're going to get the distance, or they don't excel?
The races, the tempo of the races over 1,800 tends to be slightly different to both 1,600 and 2,000. So you do it's like 7 furlong back. You always get a trip at a particular race course that tends to suit specialists. We talk about 7 furlongs being a specialist trip back home. That it's not, you know, milers can sometimes cope with it, and 6 furlong horses can sometimes stretch out, but it tends to suit horses who are, you know, real dyed-in-the-wool 7 furlong specialists.
Okay, more from Rory, more from Callum, of course, very shortly, but here's John with the runners and riders.
Trying to think what I'm a specialist at. It's not a particularly long list. Anyway, Ain Al Riyadh is horse number 1. Tharbal Timyat. 2 is Al Haz Al Karim Abdullah Al Odib. 3 is Bashir Al Aneh Mohammed Al Hubail. 4 is Moradam for Oisin Murphy. 5 is Mota'eta Abdullah Al Orfi. 6 is Raf Ye Alem Fahad Al Faradi. 7 is Roya Al Karim Abdulaziz Al Faradi. 8 is Sanea Al Basma Khaled Al Azmi. Horse number 9 is Sonic Adil Al Faradi. 10 is Tajib Khalid Al Mamoni. 11 is Wakil Al Anaya Rakan Al Abeid. 12 is Abo Motea Luis Morales. Number 13 is Doctori, Mohammed Al-Yami. Number 14 is Eid Al-Nazar, Turki Alofi. 15 is Hashim, Fawaz Wana. 16 is Rashakar, Eid Al-Turizi. 17 is Sawa, Sultan Al-Mimoni. 18 is Tatul Al-Game, it's the man of Abdullah Al-Khamis. 19 is Akid Al-Anea, Osama Al-Sharani. And 20 is Rams Al-Thakok, the amount of Mohammed Al-Daham. Straight to Callum, who's down in the parade ring.
We'll be super quick here, team. Let's focus on the 4. Moradin, that's your race favourite, turned out incredibly well. Absolutely no negatives at all. Let's race on through these now. Let's go back to the 9, Sonic, who was a winner last time in maiden company. Steps into handicap company here, but cannot be ignored. Just getting a little bit shaky in the parade ring, just shying away of everything. So he's just having a bit of a look at things, but he's a nice enough type, but you'd just be a little bit concerned that he's having a bit of a look around and a bit of a think about things in the parade ring. Right now, Alf, we're going to drop right the way back to horse number 12, who I think is gorgeous. Is Abu Matea, a winner last time out, and a real icon. Look at the size of Abu Matea. Big strapping individual. That's the 12. Looks well, looks fit for a horse of that size, and certainly will not be hard to miss on this occasion. Partnered by Louis Morales, looking for a double. And finally, we'll race back to the 16, Rashika. Ayed Al-Tarisi on board, a crackingly good jockey booking, a really nice looking horse as well, and one who caught my eye very quickly. Not the biggest compared to what we've just seen, but looks red hot fit and certainly cannot be ignored. If I'm going to make a paddock pick, nice and early, team, I think I'm drawn towards the 12.
I'm just waiting for the price of the 12 to shorten. It's still there. Abu Matea 7-1. 7-1 if you like what Callum has seen in the paddock.
Seen more than I have. Oh, hold on a second. I'm missing a piece of form with Abu Matea there.
Let's have a look at some form though of the favourite Moradin, and you're talking, Rory, about the form, of course, over the track and trip. So let's do a little bit of that. 1,800 metres.
Yeah, this is the maiden win from Moradin, and he's made virtually all the running. Longish run to the first bend here. He came out from a lowish stall. 2 or 3 of them went forward, but he got his head in front very early, has then bossed the race and run on strongly to the line. Either side of that, he's been well beaten when he hasn't been able to dominate, and I think that's probably the key to him, that he sulks when he doesn't get to the front. But I would have thought in a modest enough race like this, I know this was an ordinary maiden, he won last time out, but I would have thought at this sort of level he's got a good chance of getting to the front, and that might be the key to him.
Show you the 18 now, Tattoo Al Gayam. This is a run back in February. Also, I'm quite keen on here. I think this is 1,600 form though, isn't it?
It is, and does sort of weaken late in the day to finish second, but did quite a lot of work on the front end. And to be honest, if you look at the way the horse shapes in the last furlong, it does keep trying to plug away. And you tend to look at the finish of a race and say that the horse in second is probably a non-stayer, but you'll see that the gap is not really opening up there, and he probably just got himself did a little bit of too much too early and got caught by a better horse. I wouldn't be too worried about the trip for that one.
Yeah, I quite like him. I guess the strike rate is a little bit of an off-putter, and he's certainly a price anyway. I think he's 16-1 at the moment. In the market, the top end there, as we know, with Moradin, and then you've got the likes of Sonic, who is 9 on the card. That's the second pick maiden winner last time.
Yeah, as I said, Sonic I like because although he is in and out, you can argue that the key to him is that he runs his best races over course and distance. 3 runs over course and distance, a win and 2/3. Was 3rd behind Rich Harry here in December. Beaten a fair way there, but stepped up to win a maiden last time out. And if you go back to his form from last season, was 3rd to Damis at a massive price in an open race over course and distance.
Okay.
That's very good form if he can find it again. As I said, he's been in and out since, largely disappointing in type, but 2 good runs from his last 3 starts would make me pretty keen on him here.
Yeah, a couple of red ownership horses are the next pair in the market. They're actually alongside each other here. The 5, Mateta, and also the 6, who is Raf Halem. Both the same price, both 6-1. So split them for us if you can, 5 and 6.
I don't think there's an awful lot between them. Neither of them are absolutely the easiest to predict. Mateta has been expected to do better. Did eventually get his head in front last time out to win, but has a good pedigree, which he hadn't really been living up to, but did win that 2,000 metre maiden last time out. The worry for me is that he finally got his head in front, and then he's been given quite a long break since then. So that's a little bit of a question for me. And this is obviously tougher back in handicap company, but possibly a penny has dropped with him, in which case he could step forward again. And as I said, he's got a pedigree to be better than his mark. Rafraf Yakalam was a maiden winner in November, beating Easy Horse, who we saw finishing in the frame in our earlier maiden. He's an easy enough horse to beat, Easy Horse. That's what he's short for.
Yep.
His best effort in handicaps was finishing third at this level last time out, although a beaten favourite. He looks to have found his level here, and he should remain competitive, despite the fact that he's got a slightly tricky draw in stall 18. But we did see two of the placed horses from our previous race over the mile coming from wide draws, and horses from wide draws can do okay at this trip because they've got a long run into the bend to sort of find their position. They can still get a little bit lost on the track, but ideally you don't want the bend coming too quickly for horses who are drawn very wide. And over the 1,800 metres, if you've got the tactical speed to get a position, you've got enough time before you start turning to do so.
I half feel I'm almost looking at the fall for the wrong race, because with the exception of Moradin, whose chances are a fairly obvious one here, I'll say I like the 18 a little bit, who's a very big price, Tatul Al Gayam, and I also gave the 14 a bit of a chance.
What price is the 18?
It's a big price. It's 16s.
Okay, that's a big price. Shortlisted for me. I made it my third choice.
Okay.
So we're both reasonably keen on that. Has run well on. Yeah, again, another one whose form figure suggests it's a bit in and out, but Tatul Al Gayam has run well on her last three starts in handicaps, winning a 0 to 60 over 1,600 metres in January, and running better still when second to Talamea and a 0 to 70 contest here last time.
I think she's well in. I think
when she stepped up in class out of handicaps, she looks outclassed. But in a 0 to 65 and 0 to 70, she tends to run her race. I thought she was one of the more obvious ones.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? And I think sometimes you start with the 2 out of 29. But it's one of those, isn't it? You dissect and you think, well, actually, the more recent form is a little more solid. And the 14 I mentioned as well, it was a bit of a price. Eid Al-Nazar, just on consistency and sort of versatility, hasn't troubled the judge yet in 6 starts, but has run well enough, I think, a few times that could go well at a price. So, I don't know, I get the feeling this race,
I think
it
can definitely throw up a result. As we've seen, you've got to be in the right place at the right time, and sometimes the right place isn't an obvious place to be. We've seen a horse come from way off the pace to win tonight, and sometimes, the horses who are expected to play a part take a good position from the start.
Yeah.
But if everyone's going a yard too fast, they're all vulnerable late on. It's the horses who get the clearest run in behind and maybe ask for their effort at the right time, which is often very late in the race. They can come to the fore. So, yes, pace is absolutely crucial in all these races at this track, because the track can, if it's riding slower than usual, you'll often find the hold-up horses are favoured, whereas there are times when it's a front-runner's paradise. Hasn't been like that for a while here, and the fact that it's playing to horses who can finish from off the pace means it's asking a question of jockeys to have the nerve to wait and wait, whereas most jockeys riding on dirt, the onus is to go forward early and try to utilise your speed and stay there.
Of course,
but if you do have the confidence and the nerve to wait, then you can. I think a lot of youngish jockeys here wouldn't feel that they could sort of ignore instructions when things aren't going their way, whereas the top jockeys are always capable of doing that. I know I was told to do this, but this race is not working out that way. I'll go with plan B. And jockeys who can think like that will often come to the fore.
Which you can totally understand. And those young jockeys maybe, following the rules today will, we come back in a few years' time and probably will have learned.
On the other hand, some of the very young jockeys have just got that, I can do no wrong, absolute self-belief, because they've never had the knocks. So sometimes the 16-year-olds and the 17-year-olds who just ride like, they can do anything.
Yes.
And they will often do amazing things. Once you mess up once or twice and you get told off for it, you get dropped or you start losing rights, then you start being a lot more careful. And it's it's kind of the middle of the road jockeys that tend to be the ones who try to minimise mistakes rather than trying to do something special in a race.
I mean, the other thing, of course, just to go back to the band of ratings here, 65 top weight, 63 bottom weight. So in theory, I know the marks don't always tell the story, but we've got horses who are very, very evenly matched, and therefore, you know, if you're digging down as I have and you find something you like at 16 to 1 or 20 to 1, this is not a race that you go, I must be looking at this wrong, move on.
No,
you
no,
stick with your
absolutely. You
conviction.
can definitely find them. I thought, again, what price you got on number 19 there? If you're able
Number
to see it?
19, I can offer, well, I can't offer you anything, but the interest market can offer you 16 to 1.
Yeah, another one at a reasonably big price. Still a maiden, Akid Al Anaya, but only had the 4 starts. Has run with credit on all of those starts. The question is, what is the correct trip for this son of Semper Fortis? Was dropped to 1,200 metres last time out when finishing 5th in a 0-65 event. Didn't quite get home and tried at this trip earlier in his career, but it may well be that he's a bit stronger now. Certainly 1,200 is too short. So I would have thought that you could see an improved performance from Akid Al Anaya as well. I'd be a little bit more confident at the 1,600, but you know, just because a young horse doesn't get home over 1,800 metres on maybe its second start, doesn't mean it's not going to be worth another try at the trip.
Absolutely. Now, we've got a little bit behind, which is understandable. We had that delay, didn't we, going to the previous race? And of course, we've got these quick turnarounds here this evening in Riyadh, just the 25 minutes between most of the races. There's a good view as we watch going towards the stalls, the trip here. So, yeah, going with a long shot here, Tator Al Gayam, horse 18. And yourself, Rory?
I made it my, as I said, I made it my third choice in the race. I went with number 7 in this contest. We haven't actually talked much about it. If I can actually find the name, I've got to go back 2 pages on my race card, which is Roya Al Karim. Now that's a horse who's improved a lot for switching stables. So the last 3 runs are much better than what Roya Al Karim was doing before. And I thought, despite going up in class after running at a 0-60 last time out, I thought Roya Al Karim was actually up to this more difficult task and looked the likeliest winner on paper.
Okay, that's Rory's pick, who is currently trading at 8 to 1. So let's get the third and final selection, courtesy of Callum.
Guys, none of you were picking Sonic. Adele Al-Faradi sticking on board this one. Won last time when Adele took the ride, looked quite well in that maiden, and surely we'd be crazy to leave Sonic alone here. I love Abu Matea, that's going to be my pick, but I'm just surprised we've left Sonic all alone. We could be left with egg on our face here, team. But the paddock pick was the 12, and I'm sticking with the 12. John Blance, they're already loading up nice and quickly here at King Abdulaziz. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Callum. Yes, only got a few more left to load. They've gone very quickly here. Another big field, of course. Hashem still to come forward. The 12 horse is Abo Matea. That's in the spotted jacket into a wide gate, stall number 15. 17 is Sawar. This is horse number 14 with that pink saddlecloth, Eid Al Nazar. Turkey Alofi taking the mount on him. The 4 still waiting to go in as well. Moradan for Rasheen Murphy. White stable colours with a green cap. 2 is Alhaz Al Karim. This is the 14 going in, Eid Al Nazar. And Moradan for Rasheen Murphy. Still looking for his first winner on the night. Could well be the last to go in. Excuse me. Blindfold on now for Moradan. Will be the last to load. Stall number 10. 1 win from 4 starts for Moradan. Didn't fancy going in. This is the second Murphy horse of the night that hasn't been desperately keen on the idea of going in. It's going to take a bit more persuasion. Bashir Al-Anaya nearest to us there in that shot. Moradan has come forward. 1,800 metres this time. Set, ready and off. Moradan got away pretty quickly, and Rams Alpha Cock was the one that was very slowly out the gate as they make their way through the early part of the contest. Tatul Al Gham is just about going on there, as you see from the drone shot. Also prominent in the early stages is Sanea Al Basma in the red cap. Right down on the rail there is Bashir Al-Aner, who's trying to take advantage of that draw on the rail. Then Moradin, the green cap, the white headgear. Murphy happy to take up a position just in behind the leaders. Also there is Wakil Al-Aner, the blues colours towards the outside, Alaz Al-Karim. There's a right old bun fight for the lead here. Also prominent is Eid Al-Nazar. So they're heading on down towards the end of the back straight at around about 61 kilometres per hour. And the leader is Tatul Al-Gham, to in second position on the outside, the pink saddlecloth of Eid Al-Nazar, just trying to sneak up the inside. Moradin, the green cap for Rasheen Murphy. One now making headway, Sonic, who's beetling up the inside there into fourth spot, followed then by Al-Haz Al-Karim round the outside in fifth, then getting a little bit nearer as well, making a little bit of headway appears to be Wakil Al-Aner, but as they make the turn for home, Tatul Al-Gham is the leader and is out in front by about 3 lengths. Round the outside in second position and still travelling well as Eid Al-Nazar. Moradin is persevering, but Murphy's been animated in the saddle for a while. Then's Wakil Al-Aner racing in fourth, and turning in fifth is Alaz Al-Karim. They're down towards the final furlong and a half, and over on the far side Tatul Al-Gham is getting tired. Moradin, Murphy's earned his riding fee here now, but has come through just about taken up, and it's Moradin for the white stable, quickly on by a length or so. Moradin to its second position. Eid Al-Nazar still staying on is Wakil Al-Aner. Moradin, Wakil Al-Aner at the line. Moradin hangs on. Moradin hangs on to Wakil Al-Aner, who's finished in second. Third or so was Eid Al-Nazar. Moradin the winner, and well, it was interesting. There's a lot to talk about in this race, and I'm sure Rory and Darrell will have seen more than I did, but interesting that Moradin got away quickly. Murphy then just took back, let the speed happen around him, but then you'd be a little bit concerned if you're on this one in the latter stage, or they sort of, as they turned for home with just about 2.5 furlongs left to go, because Murphy'd been quite animated in the saddle for a while, had to ride him to hold a position, and one or two others appear to be going better, but perseverance from horse and rider has gained the day there. 1:55.33, the winner. Wakil Al-Aner's run a good race in second. Eid Al-Nazar has gone well in third. Tatul Al-Gham in fourth. Interesting feature of that race as well, not too many horses from off the pace have got involved. A race that was definitely dominated by those towards the head of affairs. Interesting to see what Darrell and Rory say about it in a few minutes' time.
Well, Sheen's got his winner. It's taken 3 rides, but terrific effort, wasn't it? We'll look back at that in due course. Moradin 4, Wakil Al-Aner, the 11 got second. Eid Al-Nazar was third, 14. Tatul Al-Gham just missing the frame. The 18 back in fourth, but yeah, important that Sheen gets a winner early on. He's done that on his third ride.
Yeah, it hasn't been the easiest night for him so far.
Absolutely.
A couple of them proving difficult at the stalls. One of them nearly withdrawn. One of them getting in trouble out of the stalls as well. And this one didn't give Austin an easy ride either. As I said before the race, he was quite impressive when winning a course and distance maiden 2 starts back, but well beaten either side of that, including beaten a long way in a maiden race. And I think the key to him is he's a little bit chicken-hearted, and if things aren't going his way, he wants to drop the lot. Austin didn't let him do that today.
Okay, let's go back to Callum.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, a very good performance from Moradin, and Talal bin Sharaim joins us now. Firstly, that horse is clearly going in the right direction, but Oisin Murphy, he gave that a great ride.
Yes, alhamdulillah. First of all, congrats to Prince Ibn Abdullah and all the white stable team. Oisin Murphy, for sure, he's one of the top jockey in the world. Alhamdulillah, he ride the horse in a good way, and alhamdulillah, he do it today. I hope inshallah he'll continue, inshallah.
You've got him for the next 3 days, so for the rest of the weekend, it must be a huge boost for you if you try and win that Owners' Championship.
Yes, that's what we're looking for, but I hope inshallah to continue, inshallah, on the same level.
Well done, we'll let you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yes, Oisin Murphy coming in here. They hat already off. Really enjoyed that ride. He has fully lifted that horse home to victory, and we'll grab a word with him afterwards and find out more about that winning ride. Look at that smile, could light up a room. Your champion jockey in the UK this year, absolutely romped to champion jockey crown there, and he's looking to continue his very, very good winter. You'll see this horse here, Moradin. He's got a big old dip in the back, hasn't he? You can see he's got a big dip in the back, very high withers. He's not the best from a conformation standpoint, but it clearly doesn't stop him from running, and he's got a bit of guts and determination as well, because turning into the straight, as John Blance expertly said in commentary, he was in a bit of trouble, but he was really, really finding it tough to get there, but he got there in the end. And when he starts finding for pressure, he did really, really well. Now once he weighs in, we will go and grab him afterwards, so we'll just let him weigh in first. Obviously this is his first time doing it. I don't know whether he weighed in at this point here for Saudi Cup Weekend. I imagine he did, so he's done this before. Weighs in fine, and just wait for the okay, and then we'll grab a very quick word with him. Oisin, just come this way and we'll grab a word very quickly. Oisin Murphy, our winning rider. You earned your riding fee there.
Yeah, he was very game though, wasn't he? He found plenty for pressure, and yeah, I'm struggling probably with my asthma, but I'll be fine in 5 minutes.
I was about to say, do you need to take a breath and just get a little bit of an asthma pump in there as well? Did you remember to bring it?
I did have it in the bag, but I didn't take it yet today. That was the first horse I really had to put maximum effort into.
Well, we won't hold you back for too long. We'll let you get back to that pump straight away, but well done.
So Jan, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear plenty more from Oisin, of course, over the coming days. Yeah, listen, he's got a great tune out of Moradin, hasn't he, here, Rory, to come and deliver.
Yeah, he's got bumped around a little bit early in the straight, and as I said, Oisin wasn't going to settle for that, and switched his stick, got him straightened out again, and asked him for everything in the straight. It's a question to me how genuine he is. And he's found plenty in the finish there, given he was off the bridle before. But I think he was off the bridle because, you know, not that he doesn't have the ability of these horses around him. I think he's got more ability than most of these, but he doesn't have the experience, and he's maybe a little bit frightened of getting amongst horses. And you know, as we've seen from previous starts, he's run well below expectations a couple of times, and
good
that's
start,
probably got a
green cap,
a decent enough position, and then Oisin has decided they're going pretty fast into the bend. A lot of horses wanted a part of this early action, and Oisin didn't want to rush him up there to do too much work. But he's in a nice spot now. He's got a little bit of room to run into, and I think Oisin would want him just to move forward a little bit here and sit on the shoulder of the leaders and be able to pounce off the bend. But he gets horses moving up on his outside now, and he does get a little bit not tight for room as such, but he's got horses clearly around him at the moment, and I think that's been an issue for him in the past. He's shown his form only once before this, and that's when he was able to race in daylight all the way around. And this has been a learning experience for him, because he's got horses in reasonably close proximity. Nothing immediately on his inside, which is a help to him at this stage, but he's got horses just putting pressure on him on the outside, and he could easily have thrown it in here. And it does look a little bit unbalanced briefly, and I think in previous races he might have said, oh, this is a little bit, I'm getting bullied here, I don't like it. Whereas Oisin said, right, come on, be a man, ride this little bit of bumping and come through. So he has taken 2 or 3 bumps from the horse on his outside at various stages, but he's ridden by a man who knows how to ride in this kind of scenario, and basically has set him down and said, right, I know you're being messed around a little bit, but you're good enough to win this race.
Yeah, let's watch
get it
this.
Done.
This is
then,
the key, isn't
yeah,
it?
he's tight between the front 2 at this stage, and again, it would have been easy for him to sort of duck out and decide not to go through that gap. But Oisin makes his mind up for him. He gets him to the front. Now that he's in the clear, I think he's going to find plenty for pressure and fight off any challenges. And the final challenge then comes in the yellow and black colours from Wakil Al-Naya, who runs on for second place. But he's always, once he gets out and once he's got in daylight, I think he was always going to find plenty. He might be the kind of horse who'll do well in small fields. He might just be the kind of horse who will learn a little bit from running in this kind of race and being in a rough race and realising it's nothing to be frightened of. And he will be able to improve further. But the jury's slightly out on him, even though this was a career best performance. But he can go 2 ways from this. He can either say, you know, I did get messed around in this race, but I came through it and I can do that again.
Well, you hope that will be the outcome, really.
Yeah, or again, he can go, well, actually, I got a few bruises somewhere after this. That wasn't much fun at all. So we'll see what he does next time out. But if he runs a good race next time, then that suggests that he's going the right way temperamentally. That will be the key to him, because he's got the size, he's got the pedigree to do better than this sort of grade. Yeah,
really well educated, you'd have to say, by Oisin Murphy. We saw Wakil Al-Naya running on to grab second. I feel a bit disappointed with Tatul Al Graham, who ran so well for
She
a
ran
long
really
time
well,
and
yeah.
has just missed out on the frame there.
Well, we were
finishing
fourth
back
and
in
fifth in the end, so we did pick up a bit of prize money. Not that we get that, but yeah, my selection, Roya Al Kareem, was the only one to make ground from off the pace. Turned into the straight, quite a long way behind, and ran on for 5th place, but they didn't stop in front, and that was the difference.
Actually, we go most of them, I mentioned, didn't we? Because Eid Al Nazar, who I quite liked as well, this sort of consistent 14 horse, has made the frame. So, yeah, we've identified most of them, but it was a case of being with a Sheen if you want to be on the win, and that was the key to that race. Now, we've just got 3 more races to come this evening. It's whizzing by. It's a locally bred Colts and Geldings maiden coming up, 3-year-olds. Sheen Murphy has got a ride. He's on Kui Al Sakar, number 9 on the card. I can tell you has gone up as favourite. It's 11-4. Love to hear how you're going tonight. If you've just joined us, lots of messages coming in. The Arabic ones are just taxing us a little bit, but we do thank you for getting involved this evening. And we're here to bring you the remaining 3 races. So if you're backing a winner or 2, maybe it's not gone your way, let us know where you are and get in touch. In the meantime, let's get some runners and riders. Another big field. Here's John.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Yes, we've got the 7th race now coming your way. Adahem is in the hands of Ferras Al Sunaytan. 2 is Artajil Adel Al Faredi. 3 is Expo Al Riyadh Osama Al Sharani. 4 is Esbanda Naif Al Anazi. 5 is Fayaza Al Saudia Rakan Al Abaid. And we've got 6 as Gorsakan Muhammad Al Yami. 7 is Hasnan Salman Al Rashid. 8 is Khalido Abdullah Al Fayrouz. 9 is Kul Al Shakur, that's the mount of Rashid Murphy. 10 is Minafi Yusuf Al Hussein. 11 is Muaniz Tariq Al Mansour. 12 is Najib Al Masif Muhammad Al Dam. 13 is Najib Al Watiz Abdullah Al Khamis. Horse number 14 is Awaitha Fawaz Wanas. 15 is Sam Al Makdabar Abdullah Al Hussein. Easy game. 16 is Sakab Al Majd Abdullah Al Saidi. 17 is Saudi Victory Muhammad Al Habib. 18 is Shadow Luis Morales, looking for another winner this evening. 19 is Shubal Muntasim, the mount of Khalid Al Mamoni. And number 20 is Yansa, the mount of Thab Al Timyat. I'm off for a pre-race lie down.
Oh, John, I felt for you there, mate. Yeah, enjoy the lie down. We'll be back to you when they're loading. Let's look at the 2. Artajil, really nice type, big, strong, robust individual. Carries himself really, really well. 3rd on debut would be no surprise if he can go 2 places better today. Let's look at number 4. This is a big paddock negative. Now, if we'll just give this one a bit of space, so let's go out the chute here because he is getting very, very revved up. This is Esbanda, who is just getting very, very worked up. Poor Naif Al Anazi is in the saddle on this one, and as you can see, it's not going to be an easy conveyance for him. Steady, steady, steady. That is brave. That is very brave. You want to settle there before you jump on. There you go. Well done, team. That is your horse number 4. Naif will be clinging on that one. Let's drop back to the 6. He was also a bit of a paddock negative. Gol Sakan got very worked up in the prelims too. It is a bit calmer now, so you'd be happier to see the 6 handling things a little bit better now settled. That's a positive. The 8 is Khalido, who we know all about. That's the horse coming towards us in the red and white. Very experienced runner, will always be there or thereabouts. And then the 9 is Kul Al Shakur, who we're just having a look at now. This is the mount of Oisin Murphy. This is an interesting runner on debut. Looks strong enough to do the damage on debut, doesn't he? Looks very different to the last debutant we saw for the White Stable. This by Latam. I would be positive about this one, far more positive than the last White Stable debutant. Let's drop back to the 11, Muaniz. This is an intriguing horse, showed plenty of talent early on this season for Nicholas Bachelard. Has been highly tried in tough contests since. The 10 is getting quite worked up in the prelims. It's all kicking off in the parade room, but the 11 is the one we're focusing on now. Handled everything very well. Looks in fantastic shape, doesn't he? That's a very positive. And Tariq Al Mansour on board. He's just about to jump on now, a very talented young rider, claiming the 1. And finally, we will just have a peep at the 14. Here's the last one we'll look at, Owaitha. I thought this horse looked really well here. A horse who's shown very little so far, but just looks in really great shape. Lovely bit of coloration on this one, lovely steel grey, looks well, walks pretty well as well, and certainly should be there or thereabouts. Stall 10 certainly is not a negative either. Those are those in the paddock, and I think, team, I'm going for the 11 as my paddock eye catcher just gets the nod ahead of the 10. The 9, sorry, ahead of the 9.
Yeah, 11 Muiniz for Callum, might be for me as well at the moment. 5-1 chance in the market at the moment, and it might be for you as well when we've shown you this VT from the 26th of December, aka Boxing Day, and finishing second. So this is going back a few runs, this effort.
Yeah, this is a decent enough run from Muiniz. The winner got away from him at this stage, but he's kept on well. This wasn't the strongest meeting. It was an odd one because the one we didn't cover. But he's no match at all for a half decent winner. But he's run on well to get placed, and he's got plenty of placed form at this sort of level, and he's taken on tougher rivals as last two starts. So you'd like to think that Muiniz would be a big player here, dropped markedly in grade.
Right, this is Art and Jill running at third on the 23rd of January. Only start so far?
Yeah, this is a weaker race, I would say, but Art and Jill was making debut here, the son of Mucho Gusto, and has shaped nicely enough in finishing placed. Needs to improve in terms of ratings to win this, but I like the way he did it. Just showed signs of tiredness late on, gets one sweeps past the front pair late in the day, but I thought that was a likeable enough performance. I liked how straight he kept, relatively speaking, in the closing stages, even when he got tired. So I'd like to think Artichil will be quite a significant improver for that debut effort.
Adel Al Faradi, of course, for the red stable. We can talk about the white stable and, of course, the significance of Ashim being here. But for those who weren't with us at the top of the day, that championship is going to play out to the wire, isn't it? There were 2 points between them in the Reds' favour. What's the scoring again? Is it 5 for a win, or no?
It's just 1 point for an ordinary race, and then you get there are races for awards and cup races, and then for group races as well. There are more points, but generally speaking, it's 1 point per race on most of our race days.
Okay, so the margin's been halved then. Yeah. Let's say it's all going to get very exciting. So, in terms of this contest, they're making number 2 Arthur Gill the favourite in the betting, who is a 2-1 chance under Adel for Sami Al Harabi. Are you including that particular colt in your reckoning? Harabi, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's good to see Sami Al Harabi back among the winners here, and I'm not sure what the score was earlier in the season, but there weren't many horses from the Red Stable running in his colours, whereas come the end of the season, he seems to have a lot more horses under his care, and he's a talented handler. And again, because he's one of the trainers who speaks very good English here, it's always good to have a chat with him and hear about what's going on. But his horses are in good order at the moment. We saw him, as I said, a winner earlier on. He's a trainer who's had plenty of winners last season as well, and he tends to do particularly well sort of this time of the year. So I would fancy Artichil. As I said, you can argue that the horses who finished around him on that debut aren't as strong as the horses that one or two of our other contenders have run into, but he's the least exposed, having made such a late debut. He's got a very good pedigree as well, as I said, by Mucho Gusto, out of a German-bred mare called Adorna, who's from a very good family as well. So I'd like to think he will improve. Again, he's drawn a stall 20. That's the issue. But we've had one earlier on in the day with the best form in the race, coming from stall 20, who was able to shrug that aside. So hopefully Artichil can do that as well. There are 4 or 5 dangers on form, but I don't think it's a particularly deep contest. So I'm hoping that the draw isn't going to be too much of a drawback for Sami Al Harabi's runner here.
Having had his first winner, she now teams up with Cole Al-Shaka, who is a first time, has drawn high as well, stall number 16. Now again, the market would have been influenced by the jockey booking, I'm sure, but 11-4, is that a price to run away from, or could you entertain it?
Again, we were used to a lot of the white stable runners last season who were winning early, being sons of Premium Tap. He tended to be really wound up for debut. This one's got a slightly different pedigree, being by Latam, and he's not such an obvious one on paper. And if he wasn't representing the connections he was, you'd have him as 12 or 14-1 shot. But he does represent top connections who are very keen to get winners on the board, and Oisin Murphy has cracked the track now. Will look to kick on, but it's worth pointing out that the earlier newcomer from this yard went off favour and was absolutely tailed off.
Yes.
And you know, it's amazing what difference a year makes and how things change in an operation, because when we came here first last season, went to Taif, these white stable runners, you were absolutely certain they were going to bounce out the stalls in front and just go further and further clear in their races. They were absolutely wound up for debut. A lot of them didn't improve much for that. So you'd see them win by 17 lengths first time out. Well, this is a cup horse. And then it would run in an open race next time out and finish 9th. And you thought, well, that's weird. This year they've been racing differently. They've not been winning first time out nearly as often. They've often looked in need of a run. They did have a big setback early in the season with a virus in the yard, and obviously there are different trainers responsible for different, for these horses. But there's still the possibility of sort of cross contamination in there. And at an important time of the year, they did struggle. They've got back on track recently to the effect that they're big players for the Trainers' Championship. Prince Metheb and his stable, when it looked like this was done and dusted a couple of months ago. So clearly that's been a big turnaround since we arrived here in Riyadh in October, when the yard was really struggling.
Well, circling down at the start, you've still got time if you are finalising selections. I'm going to be with the 11 here. Mu'anis, who we showed on the VT, finishing second there. There's a horse at a much higher rating tied in with some recent form as well. That will steer me to the 11, so I'll take Mu'anis. And I'm going to go with Artichil, who I think will improve an awful lot for that debut. Wouldn't be getting a rating nearly as high as 70 odd for that. Number 2, Artichil, is the type of horse who will improve markedly from debut. Okay, 2 for Rory, 11 for myself. Well, they were the 2 inserts. Not that we're influenced by those wonderful inserts that so often throw out big prize winners. I gave it a mention. Let's go to Callum. Callum, you were thinking about 11, I think initially, but are you sticking with 11?
Oh, you've done well there, earning those brownie points there, Daryl. I was sticking with the 11, and then I had a chat to the trainer of the 11, Nicholas Bachelard. He's very intrigued by this one, thinks he should run a good race stepping up in trip, but his biggest fear was the 9. No one has gone for the 9, so I'll take a plunge with the 9. So we'll go 9, 11, and 2 for the team. We're all got a different pick here, and John Blanc can call them home.
Thank you very much, Callum. Yep, there's still quite a few to load here. Ez Bander about to come forward. The yellow saddlecloth there in the background is Artichil on start number 2. Nice shot there of some of the arboreal features here at Riyadh. Now we've got Ez Bander has just been dismounted, about to come forward. Gore Sakan goes in. Horse number 10 moving forward now, Minifi over there on the far side. The 17 to go in, that's Saudi Victory. Waiting for the 2, the 12 and the 11. 2 is Artichil. Red stable colours there, right over on the far side, gate 20 Not Ideal. And the 12 coming forward is Najm Al-Masif. Stand by. 7th race of 9 this evening here in Riyadh. It's Mu'anis in stall 1 nearest to us. Tariq Al Mansour takes them out. Our 2 handlers in doing pacifying duties. They're off and racing. Once again, we're over the 1800 metres, and slightly awkwardly away was Aldahem as they make their way through the early part of the race. One that's showing good early speed is Artichil, very wide on the course there. Mu'anis from that inside draw has also got into a good posse. Cool Ashoka for Oisin Murphy on debut. That one's taken up a good posse as well, showing good speed from the starting gate. That's your leading trio. Kalido is also prominent as well as they make their way through the early part of this 1800 metre contest. And it's the 2-horse Artichil that's just about the leader. 2 in second place, Mu'anis on the rail. Cool Al Shakur's got a nice spot there, the green cap racing in third, followed then by Fayazir Al Saudir, the blue cap, in fourth position. Then Khalida around the outside, who's in fifth. A little bit of a gap developing to the rest. They're headed by Owaitha, who's rather wide on the course, and then after that towards the inside, Jcsa, who's trying to make headway, and also Saudi Victory. But as they start to make the turn for home, it's Artajil that's going well on the front end. Kool Al Shukur's run a pretty good race on debut, win, lose or draw, just being nudged along by double seeking Murphy now. Then Muaniz towards the near side, he races in third. Then after that in fourth is Fayazir Al Sadir. As they turn for home, Artajil looks a little bit tired. Here comes Kool Al Shukur on debut, who's now making really good headway round the outside, and Oisin Murphy has asked one or two questions of the saddle, and the response has been imminent. Kool Al Shukur is well clear. 4 or 5 lengths to the good now, to in second position a tired Artajil, who's now being passed by Muaniz, but as they race well inside the final furlong now, this is a one-horse affair. Kool Al Shukur on debut looks like a very interesting recruit to Saudi racing. I think that's safe to say. Kool Al Shukur, the winner. Muaniz has finished in second. Shadow staying on quite well and got third, and the fourth or so, Expo Al Riyadh. Kool Al Shukur caught Callum's eye in the parade ring. He's been in good form this evening. Oisin Murphy's been in good form this evening as well. A second win on the bounce with one more ride still to come. Kool Al Shukur, Rory Delagi mentioned earlier on, we had a white stable runner that fell off the back of the telly on its debut in race number 1. This was an altogether different beast entirely. Kool Al Shukur, son of Latam, out of a dam called Perch. Oisin Murphy aboard, and yeah, no form to go on. No obvious signs that this was an absolute world beater in the betting. Was well supported, but not smashed up. But goodness me, shown them all a clean set of hooves there. 155.41. Muaniz was 7.5 lengths down in second. And bear in mind, that's a 72 rated horse. Shadow finished in third or fourth, a further 4 lengths behind. So Kool Al Shukur on debut has spread eagle the field in race number 7.
Bin Sharaim has joined me here after Kool Al Shukur, Al Shaka, I should say. Kool Al Shukur. Well, there we go. See, I'm learning all the time. Nice performance on debut.
Yes, alhamdulillah. As what the trainer he mentioned before, in training he's doing very well, and alhamdulillah, we think he ran today very well. Alhamdulillah, he did.
And a great performance from a horse by Latam, the stallion. Now, we're seeing a lot of difference with your breeding practices now, which is hugely exciting.
That's right. A lot of time, I think he I think more distant. Maybe inshallah. I think when they get older, I think they run very well. But you know, we try to change the our horses, the blood. But Kool Al Shukur, I think inshallah next season he will be one of the good horses what we have.
Very exciting, an exciting horse for next season, but currently right now, enjoy him when he comes in.
I appreciate you.
No problem at all. Yes, and we see Kool Al Shukur, who means thanks very much, apparently, is the winner under Oisin Murphy, and gets a round of applause as he comes in, and we'll get a nice shot of Oisin. He's in again. 2 winners this evening, which is great to see. He had a bit of a tough start, got absolutely wiped out at the start aboard Hayna Baha. Didn't get much luck in his second ride, but his next 2 have been superb, and he's really enjoyed that one. Although I must admit, I think I could have ridden that one to victory. She's travelled up, he, I should say, has travelled up really, really well when after question, because it looked like the Red Stable runner was travelling very, very well, but just after question and quickened on by. And credit to Nicholas Bachelar for putting me on this one. Basically, he said ours is good, but we think this one might be a bit special. And they've ended up coming second with Muaniz, so I'm sure they'll be happy with that horse bouncing back to form as well as Oisin goes to weigh in, and we'll grab a word with him as soon as he does so. Should be hitting in at around 58 kilos, which will be looking up. Unbelievable. He's done this before, hasn't he? That'll do. They'll be very happy with that. And we'll grab a quick word with our winning jockey. Hands over the saddle and the goggles as well. Have you had a puff of the asthma pump?
I have, yeah, I have. That was much more straightforward and brilliant to get another winner.
I must admit, it looked like the horse in front of you was travelling just a little bit better, but when you asked the question, you got an immediate response.
Yeah, it was a fair observation. The leader probably had a bit more speed, but he stayed really well, my fella, and yeah, he was very game.
It's not easy coming here to Saudi Arabia because the local jockeys don't give you an inch here. It's real rough and tumble stuff early on.
Well, big fields with obviously 20 runners in most of the races, and the standard of riding here is very high, so it's not easy to come here off the plane and expect to win.
But fresh off the plane, you've got 2 winners, you've got 1 more ride to go. Could it be 3?
Hopefully, please God, I'll try my best.
Well done. Best of luck, inshallah.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, perfect 2 from 2 so far after a couple of early near misses. And there it is, Call Al Shukka winning number 9 on the card. Beat 11 Muaniz, who battled on well. 18 Shadow. Well, they're all chasing Shadows, weren't they? And behind the winner in third, and Expo Al Riyadh, the 3, was back in fourth. So, look, we've been talking about the white stable runners needing to start generally. Of course, there will always be exceptions to the rule, and this was definitely one of those.
Yeah, not easy to weigh up, and again, not coming from a trainer that's been used an awful lot in the past by the white stable, Saad Al Janada, who I was just checking his stats from last season. He only had 3 locally bred winners last season, but he's clearly come into the rota for the white stable and knows how to get one ready here. Kul Al Shakur looked pretty professional on debut, and Ocean didn't have to get too serious for him to clear away. There were only 3 horses who really featured in the race, to be honest. Artichil travelled very well on the front end from stall 20 for a long way, but clearly didn't stay. He actually probably had the other 2 briefly looking like he might have them off the bridle, but once he came off the bridle himself, he just didn't find anything, and I think that was a stamina issue. The pedigree suggests he should stay at least a mile, but he made his debut over 1,200 metres, and here he's ended up falling in a hole when he was headed, but he was given quite a canny ride in front by Adel Al-Faredi, who's got the third favourite is inside Muaniz, and he gets in front of that one and then sort of invites him to come up the rail and then cuts him off and then moves a little bit wider when that horse looks like he's going to go to the outside. And for a long way I thought, it's going to be a real jockey's ride this from Adel Al-Faredi, but you've got to have the horse underneath you, and when push came to shove, I'm afraid that Artichil didn't have an awful lot left for the finish, and the 2 who chased him ended up coming well clear of him in the end. Ocean just takes a little bump here as Muaniz again under Tariq Al Mansour decided to switch to the outside. He wasn't sure whether to go inside or outside because Adel was basically occasionally leaving a gap and occasionally not, and he's ended up just getting frustrated, I think, on Muaniz. That's left Ocean in pole position now in second place, and he knows that he's travelling well here, and he just moves alongside Muaniz and asks that horse to find extra, which he can't do immediately. It's amazing how quickly the leader was beaten there. And it's all over now at this stage. Ocean's asked without having to go for everything, and he's gone 5 or 6 lengths here very quickly.
It's amazing how impressive it was, and as you say, with the red horse Artichil dropping away, that left Muaniz to inherit second place. I mean, they're all almost in another race. The camera's all over the winner. It's so far clear. And then from somewhere, we saw Shadow eventually come through and grab third. The 18 horse on the card, but this is all about the She Murphy here. We can see this from a different, the dark blue colours is Shadow, is probably about 10th at this stage, but yeah, a masterclass again from a She Murphy.
Very much so. And he made sure that he wasn't in any kind of trouble, whereas, as I said, Tariq Al Mansour on Mooney's got himself trapped on the rail a little bit and then ended up not sure where to go and unable to make first crack at the leader as a result. But I think Oisin maybe thought it was going to be a little bit harder than this, given that Artichil travelled strongly from the off. But once Oisin's asked his horse to go alongside, the initial leader has folded immediately, and he's come clear effortlessly to win in the style of a promising performer. Difficult to put a figure on this, but the time wasn't bad.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because Oisin, to quote his own words, it's difficult to get off the plane and go out and ride winners. And he's on a, look, okay, he was here a few weeks ago, but he's on a dirt track, he's running against locals, he's in these big fields. and you need all the skills and all the ability to shine. And he's taken a couple of rides, bad luck in the first 2 rides, and now he's got 2 winners, and he might get a third.
He may well do. Yeah, as you said, and it literally is straight off the plane for a lot of jockeys. You know, the top jockeys in the world today tend to be riding internationally. A lot of the UK-based jockeys, for example, will go to the international meetings and will go over to the States occasionally, go to Australia, go to Singapore.
Expect to have big jockeys? I mean, look, this is what they're paid for. They're worldwide international riders, but do we almost expect them just to be able to, right, you're in Riyadh today, you're in Dubai tomorrow, whatever, go out and do the job? So
you did it yesterday, I did it the day before. I must say, when I get off the plane here, however nice the trip
we've
was,
failed miserably. We've had 1 winner each.
and it was a lovely trip. No, what I'm saying is I don't feel like I'm acclimatized until I've been here for at least a couple of days. You know, just from that one flight. But the jockeys, you know, they will fly a long way, get off the plane and immediately be riding, and then straight back on the plane to ride back on home soil, perhaps the next day.
Yeah.
So you've got to be sharp straight off the plane, and that's not easy to do. And I've seen Ocean look a little bit better in terms of, you know, his health there. Obviously, he's struggling a little bit with his asthma after his previous winner, but he's got to go out there and do it. So he can't think, I'm feeling a little bit peaky. Just go out there and ride winners.
Just go out and ride winners. And here's John to tell us more for the next race. It's our 8th race coming up.
It is indeed, Darrell, yes. We're over 2,000 metres this time. Al Thabta is horse number 1, Aid Al Tarisi. 2 is Riyadh Road for Rashid Murphy, looking for that treble. Barkhan is Nawaf Al Fayruz's mount, that's horse number 3. 4 is Chukotka, Naif Al Anazi. 5 is Deliveroo, Cal Mansour's mount, that's horse number 15. Thekra Al Ghali, Luis Morales. 17, Union Capital, Adil Al Faredi. 18 is Waktek, Asil Al Sahani. 19 is Kazar, Abdullah Al Kredis. 20 is Nazmat El Wadi in the hands of Fawaz Wanas. Now it's back to our resident winner finder this evening. It's Callum Helliwell.
It's a rare thing, John, but we'll take it while it comes. Starting nice and fast here ahead of these 3 days of racing. We'll start off with Riyadh Road. Obviously one to watch here, the mount of Oisin Murphy, who's looking for a hat-trick already. Getting a bit jiggy in the parade ring, we did notice. Good-looking Thunder Quality Road, really good-looking type. He's only had the 1 run, steps up to 2,000 today. You'd just be a little bit concerned about how much petrol he's getting through early on here before he even gets racing. He's going around in snatches here, but he looks fantastic. I would just be a bit of a negative with the way he's handling these prelims, knowing he's got to stay the 2,000. Right, now let's drop all the way back. It's a bit of a drop back to the 8 here. The next one we're going to have a look at. Limale is the next one we'll peep at, really on the other side of the parade ring, not in the most ideal spot. But one that really stood out to me in the prelims, a good-looking type here, a nice son of Quattro, only had the rating of 40 here, but showed a little bit of ability on debut, and then wasn't given the easiest of tasks after that. Probably better than the form we've seen recently, and looks really well, doesn't he? Good, fit individual. He's got a bit of a walleye, that would be my only negative, but he's handling himself well in these prelims. He's walking about on his own. He's a good-looking type. He's got a nice walk as well. Plenty to like about the 8. We'll move 1 back to the 9. The Red Stables representative, they're looking to get back involved. Sorry, the 10, I should say. Medar, who we're looking at now. He's got a gorgeous flat back. He's really well proportioned. He's the best put-together type we've seen so far. An absolute picture here. Had the 2 starts, improved on his debut to finish 4th last time. He's got a really good, relaxed walk, as you can see. Proper swag about him here. He's walking around like he owns the place. He's a lovely, lovely type. The 10 so far, I think, would just about be the pick of the yard. Let's drop back to the 14. Chagrin is the next one we're going to take a peep at. The 11 looks fine too, but I think the 14 is well worth a look for Khalid Al-Mimoni and Abdullah Al-Manif. This is a really, really lovely type. I think he should thrive stepping up in trip. They've waited to do this. This will be his first crack at this trip, but he looks like a type. As you see him come towards, he looks like a horse that will do better over further. He's long, he's leggy, he's got a little bit of bone about him. He's got a nice neck on him as well. You can see the fitness in him is really on show. I think he's a horse that's going to thrive stepping up in distance. I think he would be one you wouldn't want to not have on your shortlist. Fit as a flea as well. And finally, The last one we'll peep at is the 17. This is Union Capital, who really caught the eye on debut over course and distance when finishing second. He's a lovely looking type. If you do like him on form, he's the one you've got to pick, but he's certainly a nice one too. Look at his fitness as well. He looks like that last run hasn't taken a bit out of him, and he'd be no doubt one they'd have to all beat here on paper. Can he do it on the racecourse? He certainly looks good enough in the parade ring. I think for me though, the paddock pick is the 10.
Yeah, Medar, the paddock pick there. We're looking at Union Capital, though, who is the favourite, the 2-1 favourite. Let's have a look. This is a really good effort, isn't it? This is over the course and distance, chasing home a decent winner, beating a couple of lengths.
Yeah, and didn't get the easiest of runs up the straight. You'll see he's sort of being leaned on at this stage, but Union Capital runs on well to be 2¼ lengths second to El Jabarti in a 2,000-metre maiden here on debut 4 weeks ago. You'd like to think there's improvement to come. The winner sort of leaned on him for a fair way, and he just ends up getting eased briefly inside the final furlong as well. But that was a promising start, and you'd like to think there'll be more to come from this youngster.
Yeah, we can show you Medar, who sort of was the paddock pick of Callum, and this is the run, back in February?
Yeah, this isn't a bad performance. He was fourth here in a 1600-metre 0 to 80 handicap the last time out. He was 10 pounds out of the handicap this day, so he was running above himself to finish where he did, and he keeps going all the way to the line. So I thought this was a likeable performance from him. He's caught Callum's eye in the paddock as well, and he would be my pick in this contest.
Okay, so we could have a bit of an agreement in terms of selections then between Callum and Rory, and there's the man, of course, who's chasing a third winner on our Riyadh Road. This is a She Murphy's drawn stall 20. He's only had the one run, isn't it, so far? What did you make of that effort? Finished down the field.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of those that disappointed a little bit on debut, given that he appeared to be fairly well fancied in the day. Went off 130 favourite, finished 8th of 17, beaten over 20 lengths behind Hor Al Mohammedia. That wasn't a bad contest. You know, it wasn't an awful first run. If he wasn't fancied, you'd have marked him up for it. But again, when we talk about him being fancied, that's the international market. It's not stable confidence,
of course, yes.
So you know, you tend to put these horses in reasonably short, but he probably needed that run. Badr Razaik, the trainer, I think he was the trainer who had the one. He was well beaten on debut earlier on tonight. So you'd expect the horses from the Badr Razaik stable on that basis to improve a fair bit for a first run, or possibly Badr Razaik's been given all the bad horses, but I don't think that'll be the case. He's a former champion trainer back in the day, Badr Razaik, and hasn't lost his ability. Doesn't have the numbers that he once did, but he's a good trainer. And Riyadh Road, you'd like to think that he would be capable of better. He's been given a break to strengthen up since then, and looks well on the pitches that we have at the moment. So you'd expect a better performance. Whether he's good enough to win this is open to debate. Yeah,
training very much the bee's knees going back a few years, and we won't be surprised to hear that there is money for our Riyadh Road from 5s into 4s. I mean, you've got to put that down purely to the man on board, of course, who is flying high and looking for a hat-trick in as many races.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about jockeys riding with confidence, I think these maiden races where the horses often need a little bit of confidence to come from their jockey are races where that kind of confidence can pay off. You know, when you're talking about group races, they don't tend to just be won by the jockey who's got a bit of confidence. But races with inexperienced horses, you know, they can take a little bit of the energy they're getting from the jockey and race with a bit more confidence, a bit more swagger than they would do otherwise.
And you'd almost have to say, wouldn't you, look, Sheen's here for a short period to do a job, replacing Camille Ospina. But what he gives to some of these horses and the time he's here, when he goes back to the UK or wherever he's going to be riding, he could leave a lot with those horses, what they've been able to sort of, you know, what he's been able to educate them with going forward.
Yeah, so. Because you know, the confidence the horses get from their early starts is really important for their development. And indeed, if a horse, I've seen quite a lot of horses from different stables who would probably benefit from having a fairly easy run first time out before being asked to do. I've seen a few horses who look very promising, but in need of a run, who are given really hard runs on debut here. And I just wonder whether that leaves a mark on them. And as you said, you know, the best jockeys will look after the horses in victory and in defeat.
Yes.
And they will get a good experience, which they will come on for.
Making the way down to the start, as you can see. So it is 2-1 Union Capital. It's 3-1 Medar, who we showed you on the VT. The money for our Riyadh Road, for obvious reasons, at 4s. 11-2 is Omran. It was on my kind of shortlist, although it won't be my selection. Ran only last weekend, taking a marked step up in trips. Been running 1,400, all up to 2,000. I mean, that's a bit of a leap.
Interesting that he was beaten, finished 5th, only beaten 3 1/4 lengths behind the same horse, Hora Al Mohammedia, who had the White Stable runner well behind him earlier in the season. I don't like to draw too many conclusions from runs a couple of months apart involving different horses, but just interesting that form line does tie in. And I should say Omran had been well beaten on his second start. He ran well on debut and just didn't seem to step forward when fancied next time out, but wasn't disgraced 2 starts ago, and then I should say took a step forward up in class into that winners of 1 last time out, and did shape quite well. So he's belatedly going the right way after a little bit of a sticky patch after his debut.
Yeah, if you take that last run at face value, I mean, he was behind, you know, horses of slightly higher ratings, and you could definitely elevate his 62 up to a little bit further, which would definitely put him in the picture. But I like Union Capital, who we showed you running really well on debut back in the beginning of February, and that's the way I'm going to be leading, which is the 2-1 favourite at the moment. Any others you want to mention here, Rory?
No, we've seen Medar in action already. I thought he looked really well coming out onto the track. So, you know, a lot of these horses, we don't see the very best of them until they get a bit of experience, and it's interesting to see which of them come forward physically for a couple of runs, and which of them look okay first time out, and then don't physically look as good afterwards. Medar has certainly come forward physically for a couple of runs to date. Hasn't set the world alight. It's been reasonably well fancied for both of those. It was a good run behind What Attack Ala that we watched in the VT there. That would have been a better race than this. It was a handicap. Not entirely sure how you get into handicap on his second start, having finished 7th of 11 on debut.
Yeah, how does that work?
I don't know. Horses generally aren't given a handicap mark. I suspect if you don't have any options and you want to run in a handicap, you can ask the handicapper to give you a mark.
Yeah.
But I've only seen that happen with representatives from the big stables. I saw one from the White Stable get into handicap second time out, of a very lenient looking mark as well. It was well beaten in the end. And then Medar last time out in a not to 80. This is easier on paper, and I'd expect him to go pretty close. As I said, he impressed me physically as they came out onto the track.
I'm going to mention the 4, which is the other one I had on my sort of short list here, which is Jcsa under Naif Al-Anazi. I think this is a slightly easier race. Been running in cup races. Has got form behind horses sort of rated in the low 60s, and yeah, it might be undervalued off a mark of 52 at 16-1. But we have got a race that's kind of sort of divided between 5 at the top of the market, and you are talking double digits and big prices about everything else. Still time for you to get involved tonight. This is our last, I suppose we call it betting race if you want, because the final race will be run, but purely as a contest, not as an international betting heat. So that Jockey of Education Cup, race number 9, no markets, international markets on that race. So yeah, you're with 10. I think Callum was leaning towards 10 as well, wasn't he, Medar?
Yes. Not that I'd specifically be. If anything, I'd be stubborn and go against Callum. But and I wasn't sure that I was going with Medar.
I mean, he might change his mind.
Pre-race, he was on my short list. But as I said, Callum found a win earlier on just by looking at the demeanour at the start. And thus far, he's the one who's particularly impressed me. But there are some nice types in this race. This looks an above-average maiden compared to races we've seen earlier in the card. There aren't any with lofty ratings in here as such, but a few have shown ability in slightly better races than this. And physically, they look a good bunch.
Okay, so sort of low 60s, the peak mark for these, but plenty who've got possibilities of improving and getting closer to that. So they're about to make their way behind. If you've just tuned in here on the YouTube channel, the English speaking service, maybe because you've been reading or hearing about Ashim Murphy on sort of social media and thinking, well, you know, I want to see him, see how he goes. You kind of joined the party a little bit late. 2 winners in the 6th and the 7th. Now he tries to win the 8th, and that will be a remarkable treble if he can pull it off here on our Riyadh Road, who is trading as a 4-1 third favourite internationally in from 5s. Right, they're gathering at the post, so I'm going to take Union Capital 17, Rory.
Number 10, Midar for me.
Okay, Callum.
It's number 10 for me as well. Rory. I didn't think you would be stubborn and go against me here. I do think that the 10 is the most physically correct of these. A really nice model. Just walking around here, you couldn't take your eyes off that one. So really keen to see how the 10 gets on here. Obviously, the other one who was worth a look at was the 8 as well. Both the 8 and the 10 looked good. Our Riyadh Road was not a negative, but just with a bit too fresh in the parade ring for me, doing an awful lot of work before even getting out onto the track, but looks very settled now down at the start, which is a huge positive. As Rory said, I think this is a really nice race. I do like this 2,000 metre contest towards the end of the season. You start seeing these babies just taking a big step forward, horses that will really look to latch onto next season in their as they step into open company. They're going to be hugely fun to follow, and I think over these further trips, this is a real interesting contest, and I cannot wait for it. Very similar in the UK when you get the 2-year-old races over a mile and beyond, right towards the end of the season in the autumn, and you really get to see the future stars, the Derby horses and those types of horses that I absolutely love. Sprinters are all fine and well, but I do like a good, proper, classically bred type. So hopefully we'll find one in this contest. Umran, the 11, is the mount of Abdullah Al Farouz. That horse has not been disgraced in any of the 4 career starts. For me, usually he's more of a paddock eye catcher than he was today. Maybe just one run too many, just seen towards the back of the shot there. They circle down at the start for owners that always do very, very well. Chagrin was the other one who I think will thrive stepping up in trip. Come back still 5 as well. Abdullah Al Manif is a trainer you need to watch out for. He'll be hitting all the UK, Irish and French sales circuit, looking for some stars to go forward with over the next few weeks, and hopefully he will find some stars, and if he does, he'll be bringing them to Saudi Arabia, and they will be very intriguing. The one horse that has disappointed has been the GOAT, who despite showing a bit of promise on Saudi debut, hasn't quite taken that step forward. Hopefully Chagrin can do differently and take a big step forward here, but the pick for me will be the 10. And I know Darryl likes the 17. I know Rory's going to stick with me on the 10. The 8 with a paddock positive. The 5, Deliveroo. No hunger station in this one, just Deliveroo. He looked well. You've also got Osama Al Shahani on board. Not quite sure whether that is on your race card, but Deliveroo is the pick here. Now, this race was meant to go off at midnight Saudi time. I'm just going to check my trusty phone, and we're 7 minutes delayed on this one. I think that might be because we had a little bit of a delay early on in the card and we've not quite caught up. I personally am a huge fan of these 25-minute gaps, I must admit. I do think the only issue with a 25-minute gap is sometimes you have a bit of a delay at the start. We had a couple of horses getting very warm and worked up early on in proceedings in earlier races, and that might have pushed us all back a little bit. They don't seem to be rushing to get everybody forward. This is the last race you can put a wager on internationally, as our final race will be the Education of Jockeys Cup. I cannot wait for that, because some of the young lads riding in that are very, very young. I mean, it's like a pony race, basically, with real horses. Some of the guys have come with I imagine they've come with their parents, and they look like children. They really are very young. It'll be a fascinating race to see maybe some stars of the future in the saddle. We are beginning to load up right now. We're loading up as soon as we speak, and the loading process has begun. Just getting a couple of horses getting a tack check. John Blance, it's over to you.
Many thanks, Callum. Putting them in now. Medar to come forward in the red colours there. Mohammed Aldaham riding for Fahad Saad. 17 is Union Capital, stall 18. Sheen Murphy marooned out in gate 20 aboard a Riyadh Road. Horse number 18 to go in is Waktek. The Deliveroo to come forward as well. Omran as well. Saddlecloth 11. A Riyadh Road just waiting out the back there. The Murphy ridden horses this evening have been almost the last, if not the last, to load. Nazmat El Wadi to come in the 20. The 7 is Kareem USA. Nazmat Al Wadi not desperately keen on the idea of moving forward. Still just loitering out the back there is a Riyadh Road. Quite a few that have been slow to go in tonight, and that's hence why we've got this bit of a delay. It's unusual for Saudi. Nazmat Al Wadi to come in. It's the 16 horse Thekra Al Ghali, who's a little bit reluctant to come in now. Nazmat Al Wadi. Thekra Al Ghali to come forward, just waiting now for a Riyadh Road. Thekra Al Ghali into stall 1. Here comes a Riyadh Road for the white stable, and Oisin Murphy looking for a treble. Just kicking out. Goes in now though. Stand by, ready. 2,000 metres in front of them. Gates back, away they go racing. And heading through the early stages. A nice start was made by Thekra Al Ghali. Also prominent in the run early is Nazmat Al Wadi. Just looking towards the left there of screen, a Riyadh Road for Murphy. Just a reasonable posse, obviously very wide, but there's a long way to run before they turn out of the back straight. They haven't made the race course proper yet. And the lead is with Tasaid in the blue and white colours. Also up with the pace is Rezk Allah. That's in the rather distinctive yellow bridle and the sheepskin noseband. Just in behind them we've got Kareem USA, the orange saddlecloth there, the yellow cap. Towards the outer, making a bit of headway, is Omran. Major Wabel is also prominent. Riyadh Road on only start 2 has managed to circumnavigate itself into a decent position. Medar in the red colours, the red stable colours, now moves in to around about 5th position, the sheepskin noseband for that one. Field goes back to Al Thabates towards the back. Also towards the back is Waktek, so they make their way towards the end of the back straight. And right down on the rail with the edge is Rezk Allah. In second position, Major Wabble. Right round the outside is Omran, who's travelling well. Murphy getting to work aboard a Riyadh Road, who's racing in 4th position. Then after that, now making a little bit of headway, is Medar, who's travelling smoothly around on the rail. And then we have Saudi Spear, who's getting a little bit closer as well. So the whips are drawn on 1 or 2, most notably on a Riyadh Road, who's trying to find, but going really well, is Omran. And it's Omran who now comes through to hit the front. Down on the rail, Rezkalar is battling hard. Here comes a Riyadh Road though. Again, Murphy's been off the bridle a long way out, but his mount is finding plenty. A Riyadh Road has hit the front and goes on to its second position. Chatotka, who's staying on from the back. Medar's trying to get going as well. A Riyadh Road has looped the field to grab the lead. Chatotka is staying on well though down on the rail. A Riyadh Road, Chatotka as they race up towards the line. Chatotka is beginning to get up. A Riyadh Road battling hard at the line. This is going to be tight. Chatotka gets there and beats a Riyadh Road. What a terrific race. Followed then in third by Medar, who's run a decent effort as well. What a finish. Chakotka the winner, but Ney Falanazi. Remember him? He's got up 2 minutes 10.24 seconds. A Riyadh Road's run a very big race there, I've got to say, from gate 20, and looked as though Murphy had got the job done and battled really hard, both horse and rider there. But it was Chakotka, it's easy for me to say, scored by a head in the end in the hands of Ney Falanazi, the trainer Fawaz Al-Ghariban, and has just foiled punters who might have been on the Murphy treble there. Medar's finished in third. And awaiting news on the 4th. Union Capital got that, but Chakotka was quite a long way back in the early run, but was beginning to make headway as they came out of the back straight, and in the end has come home strong enough to win. That was the 8th of 8 official races. Still one more to come though, that education race very shortly.
Well, it looked like we were going to get the treble from Asheen Murphy, but then there was Naif Al-Anazi. Jcsa has come through down the fence. Nabs are Riyadh Road into second. 10 Medar was third. 17 Union Capital was back in fourth. And I suppose right horse in there. Gave the four a mention.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tipped something else, but gave the four a nice mention at price. But yeah, not quite to be for Asheen in the end, that treble.
No, off the bridle, then seemed like he was coming through to win the race. And I wondered whether he just, once he got past horses, he just seemed to idle a little bit in front.
Yeah, possibly.
And Jcsa managed to get up ahead of steam on the inside under Naif. Be interested to see exactly where he came from, but he got plenty of kickback on him as he came back in.
I love the throwing
Typical
the whip.
celebration from Naif throwing the whip. He always does that.
Yeah. If he always does it, somebody should be ready to catch it. Where were you, Callum?
Yes, a very, very good ride from Naif Al-Anazi, who gets up to repel actually gets up to really reel in Asheen Murphy with that rail run aboard Jcsa, who has done that in good style on the 5th career start. Looking forward to hearing from Naif. It's been a quiet couple of weeks for him, but he tends to chip in with either no winners or a cup winner. It's very much feast or famine, so winning a maiden race is a bit of a rare thing for him, but great for the Fawad Al Garabin stable, who had a very good result in our last race last week, with Bon Voyagio finishing huge to finish second behind King's Guard in a cracking race on that occasion, on that cup race. And we're going to have a good old look at Jcsa as he comes forward towards us now. A nice enough type, certainly has thrived with the distance, but I think the real horse to take out this is Riyadh Road, who I think is a massive eye catcher. Did a lot wrong in the prelims in the parade ring, had to come from wide, looked beaten on the turn, then Asheen found another gear and he absolutely bolted in, and he's just found one too good. And I think maybe if he hadn't have done so much in the prelims, he would have had enough. You can just see how red the eye of our winner is. Clearly got some kickback in there, a lot of muck on the face. You can see Naif has had to do a lot of hard work there as well to get the victory, but it's a well-earned victory nonetheless. And you've got Fawaz, our winning trainer there, seems very happy with that. We've got a little girl dressed as a jockey as well. She tends to come racing quite often, and she's rocking the leather jacket today. Usually she's rocking some jockey silks, but she's rocking the leather jacket and the breeches, and she obviously connected with the Al Garabin team. And now we'll get a word from Naif Al-Anazi, who is our winning rider. He'd be very excited about that. You see the sweat coming off him. He's worked for that. We'll have a good old chat with Naif, find out more about that victory. You can see really has ridden that horse. He's earned his riding fee today. That was a tough all the way ride. You can see all the kickback he's covered in. He's got to come and weigh in here probably at around 52 what's he got to weigh in at 58 kgs, which he's done perfectly fine, and he'll come and join us in just a second. Got to get that set of goggles off. You can see how caked in mud they are. But Naif Al-Anazi, wow, you look very tired, and that was a very hard race, but you won.
Yeah, thank you, Calm. Thanks God about this win. Yeah, he's diesel horse, and he's not give a jockey, a rest for pushing, because one hand and left hand. Long time he didn't race, but today step by step I come. Like I breeze, one of these horse come in more better, 4 or 3. But like surprise for me, 15 meter, because I know my horses win. Thanks God, Calm.
Fantastic to see you versus Asheen Murphy, champion jockey in England, and it was you who came out on top.
Yeah, thanks God, and he's Ocean also. He's a good jockey and professional jockey. Thanks God. All the same, I think not big different for me and him,
And our viewers at home all over the world will be so happy to see you winning. You are a hugely popular jockey, so well done.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, Cal.
Thank you.
They're getting on well, aren't they? Jcsa then has come through. I mean, it looked as though Asheen was en route to victory down the outside, and we were thinking, well, here we go, 3 on the spin, but there was a twist in the towel.
There was. He's going better than the winner at this stage. He gets to the front, but he had to work hard to get there, and I think once he got past those weakening rivals, he's just left on his own. And whether he's tired or whether he's just... I'm inclined to say he idled a bit in front, the runner-up, and Naif was working hard on Jcsa. Got a good run out of him, switched to the inside in the last 100 metres, and has won maybe a little bit cosily in the end. But as you mentioned beforehand, this horse has been keeping better company, running in cup races.
Yeah,
so
that was
the
the
form
key,
figures don't
wasn't it?
look
Yeah.
particularly good. But the last time he ran in a race anything like this, he ran very respectably. And this drop in class has done him the world of good today. Again, he doesn't travel particularly strongly in his races, trying to pick him up, right at the back of the picture there, bottom left. Didn't really pick up the bridle out of the stalls and made Naif work fairly hard through the race. But he kept finding, and that's what's counted in the end. He doesn't look the most straightforward rider. He's carrying his head slightly awkwardly. But when Naif is determined, he's a very fit jockey, very strong jockey. Not the most stylish on the circuit, but a guy who has a real following here, and is always popular when Naif gets a winner on the board. So nice to see that. Always nice to get an interview with him, and him and Callum have a special relationship of their own, let's say.
Yeah, it comes across that way, doesn't it? I mean, at this stage, if you're with Asheen and the well-backed Riyadh Road, they're just on sort of the outside of the leading group. They're in about 5th position. You'd be feeling pretty hopeful he's going to get that horse involved, which he certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, he did come off the bridle, and you just wondered how easily he was going at this stage. But he does keep finding those in front fold a little bit off the bend. You see the red stable colours as well there of Madar also coming forward at this stage. Still looking a little bit green, or maybe didn't pick up immediately when asked by Abdullah, wasn't it?
Yeah, Al-Durham. What's it?
And sorry, Mohammed Al-Durham rather. But he does run on quite well for third in the end. Oshin now, having come off the bridle, sweeps past the horses who lead into the straight, and it looks all over at this stage because he quickly goes 2 lengths clear. But when he does get in front, suddenly it seems like a very lonely place. He can't see any other horses. He's made a big effort, and he's just looking for the line. Whereas the winner cuts inside him, gets a really good head of steam under Naif Al-Anazi, and just wins in the shadow of the post to win by a head.
There we are. So great performance then by 60-1 long shot here. Chakok, we've had big price winners, had a few fancied winners going in, of course, tonight. Asheen Murphy's done a little bit to help that. And thank you very much for messaging in. Sadi Al-Sadi, thank you for getting in touch. And Tom Humphries has been on as well. Of course, you'll know Tom because he sat here. But he's not here tonight, but he's watching, and I'm delighted to say he says great show. We'd be disappointed if he said anything else, really, wouldn't we?
Very kind of him.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you.
We miss you, Tom.
Well, we all do, but we got to go back to Callum, and we're missing Callum, and it's only been about 2 minutes.
Honest to goodness, this is definitely the highlight of my time in Saudi Arabia this season. Look at some of these young jockeys who'll be having their first experience of King Abdulaziz racetrack here in the Jockey Education Cup. Some of the riders here are so young, and it's been great. I've had a chance to talk to Musab Al-Dahafri, who is on horse number 2, who has come over to me with the confidence of Frankie Dettori and says, Callum, if I win, you will talk to me after the race. So I will obviously be cheering on horse number 2 in this contest. He's already moved on. Look, he doesn't want to hang around in these pictures anymore. Look at the confidence of the young man. I love it. I absolutely love it. The jockeys, you'll notice, are all wearing colours that represent the districts. So the grey colours are Ruma. The light blue colours with the jockey 4 from the left, he represents Al Qurayat. You've got the Al Majmar colours there in the black. Then you've got the Al Juf colours in the dark blue with the smallest lad of the group. He's in the Al Juf colours. The orange is the representation of Hale. And then you have the sort of burnt orange, the sort of red colours will go with Al Qasim. The yellow colours represent Al Zufir, and the black and white right on the end represent Al Jubail. So this is very much like the championship of the race course. Wonderful scenes around here. So many people, parents and guardians and trainers all getting involved to get a picture here. This is lovely scenes. I've really enjoyed this. John Blance, for the runners and riders, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Callum. Yes, this is a bit of a departure, but looking forward to the 9th and final race on the card. A no betting race. Najam Kaflar is horse number 1. Rayan Al Tawala is aboard. 2 is Afar Musab Al Dafiri. 3 is Anna Al Lajan Muhammad Al Azmi. 4 is Gweig Muhammad Al Malefi. Horse number 15 is Al Washbi Turki Al Muteri. Horse number 6 is Ub Al-Waid Abdullah Al-Shamari. Horse number 7 is Alufok Al Mobeen, Mokbel Al Shamari. Horse number 8 is Maya Mohammed Al Husseini. Number 9 is Arkone Turki Al Rashidi. 10 is Al Murkab Ahmed Al Jurefani. Horse number 11 is Sawaf Yazan Al Hussein. Horse number 12 is Dazmal Azam Al Odib. 13 is Murbik Yunus Al Faredi. Horse number 14 is Hayeb Abbas Al Salem. And horse number 15, last but not least, is Spirit of Nguru, the man of Mohammed Al Famawi. So there we go. All the runners and riders now in front of you for the Jockey of Education Cup. And it's back to Callum.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. Just a little bit of intrigue here. You may remember from the championship of the race courses, it was the grey colours representing Ruma, who were sort of local to Riyadh colours, I imagine, that were definitely the strongest. And I've seen of the jockeys here, from just first impressions in that lineup, the 2 jockeys in grey look streaks ahead maturity-wise compared to some of the other riders here as well. They definitely look like they knew what they were doing and the occasion wasn't too big for them. A few of these young guys getting a little bit nervous here in the prelims. Certainly not seeing that from either of the jockeys on Nijam Khalifa or Afa here. So the horses are spinning around now. We'll go and have a look at just a couple of those runners now. In fact, we'll look at the 1 and the 2 straight away as they'll come towards us now. Going to make our way across the parade ring here, and we'll talk about the 1 and 2 that will appear in those grey colours. The first one is Najem Kafla, just coming towards us now in these pink blinkers. This is the 1 horse. Now, a lot of these horses have not been running here under Jcsa rules, so don't be surprised to see horses with great form and a good rating, but they haven't been seen since 2021 and onwards. But this is the 1, a little bit woolly in the coat. For me, I'd be looking elsewhere, and I would be looking at the 2. I think the 2 is going to be certainly a good pick. Now, let's just pull back to the 2 here. This is Afa Chestnut here, 5-year-old. Looks fit enough to do the damage today, you'd imagine. Shining up pretty well in the coat. We've got a very late arrival here, the 8, who's only just come into the parade ring, so that's worth a note. 3's already making the way out, but a lot of these jockeys, these are jockeys that should be in pony races. They're all so young. Let's look at the 4 here. This is Gawag here. Mohammed Al Nalifi is on board. He's very excited to be riding on this occasion. He rides the 4, so I'm just wishing that everyone has a really safe spin around here. It's a huge moment for these young men and a really exciting moment for them that will live long in the memory. The paddock has not been so full all the way through. Let's pull back to the 6 here. This is one that I thought looked quite well. Just getting a little bit warm here, the 6. This is Kob Al-Wayad, just coming around now. Abdullah Al-Shamari is on board this one. He looks pretty confident in the saddle, doesn't he? The Iceman. Oh, there's a smile. He's seen the camera. He's over the moon there. He's seen the camera and got a shot here. He's also getting a bit warm here in the prelims as well. Let's pull back. You'll see the smallest jockey of the group. This is Mokbel Al-Shamri as well. Might be related to Abdullah Al-Shamri. The 7 coming towards us now. Look at the size. I mean, this is one of the smallest jockeys you'll see aboard the 7 here. Al-Fuk Al-Mabeen. Best of luck is all I'm going to say. This is a huge moment. I mean, there'll be some nervous parents in the crowd for sure, guys. Look, I'm going to take the 2. I think the jockey's the most confident. I've seen these colours do well in these regional competitions before, and that's the only way I'm going. The 2 is the pick of the paddock.
Thank you very much, Callum. Yeah, horses in many cases who've been away for a long time or perhaps have been running elsewhere, it's not on the card. One immediate positive I like about this race is that the draw relates to the horse's number, which makes it so easy. So
yeah, well, we had that most of last season for.
Can we have it all the time, please?
For the maiden races and the conditions events. It was only the handicaps where we didn't have them in draw order. Yeah, it does make things easier.
It does. It does. So the favourite on the market that was there before, it obviously it was no longer available, and the reason for that, just to confirm the message from earlier, is that this was scheduled as an unsanctioned event and therefore shouldn't have been added to the card today. Therefore, the Jcsa is advising no wagering is to be accepted on this race, with their apologies for that inconvenience. But there were markets before that message came through, and it was number 4, Gawaik, who was the favourite here, who's rated 86. Well, I say rated 86. I mean, this is form from what are we talking? 3.5 years
just
ago.
Over 3 years ago, yeah. So, and I think that's the kind of thing you don't necessarily. You look at the rating and you see the horse's form figures. You're not sort of necessarily paying a huge amount of attention for a race that isn't going to get an awful lot of an awful lot of interest from the public. So yeah, Guake, if he was capable of running to his rating, he'd be interesting. But I'm guessing what happens is a lot of these horses, there's like a training centres around the country, and these horses are sort of in residence there. So even though they're not racing on the track, they are educating these
they've not been in a stable, have they, for 3 years?
No, they've not been just out in the field. So they have been doing a job. It's just a case of can you trust a horse to be able to run to a rating it was capable of 3 years ago? I would say probably not. Greg doesn't massively take the eye either. He quite liked the two, didn't he, Afar?
He did, who was one of the bigger price runners before the markets became available. And it's one of the lower rated horses, but you know, Callum's eye for a selection in the paddock tonight has been exemplary with a couple of big price winners. Price is irrelevant here, but did you see a case for two?
Afar's a horse who's run recently.
That's one positive.
I mean, obviously running in a not to 55 handicap last time out, finishing second to Bint Always, who's a little bit better than that grade. That was a step in the right direction for Afa, and I would imagine that race fitness probably counts for an awful lot in this race.
That's great, isn't it, for the youngsters? I mean, that is something that their treasure, whoever are the recipients of the gold, silver, bronze, and then the main trophy as well. And you mentioned 150,000.
Yeah, 150,000 SAR to the winner of the race, and that's you know, it shows that this is taken very seriously here. And as you saw, the paddock was absolutely packed as well. So this is great to see. Obviously, not officially sanctioned because it's run, I imagine, by the organisation that does the education of these young riders, and runs the racing school, if you like. But that's not to suggest that it's not a proper race in its own right. Obviously, a real mix of horses in here. And reading old form figures is potentially misleading. I'd rather be with one that ran recently, as a rule. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Afa run fairly well, despite the fact that rating of 55 suggests it's got stones to find with Gweg. I'd be happy enough with that.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting that. Or I'm looking at Dasmal here as my possible selection, the 12, who's not run for a couple of years. So that, but maybe I'm taking the other view in my mind, which is that you know, maybe these horses have been working well at home. We don't know. I mean, can you run to your rating from 2023, 2024? That will depend on the individual runner. Right, they are down at the start. Good evening or good morning. It depends where you're watching, or afternoon, I guess, if you're sort of in the west of the States or wherever. Hi to Turkey has been on, and De Faller as well has joined us late in the day for this intriguing contest, which is just running a little bit behind the clock. We were due to go at 25 past, weren't we? But we're probably going to be 35 or thereabouts before they get underway. But rest assured, we are sticking with it until this contest is run. 1,200 metres down at the start. So yes, we mentioned Gweg, Dasmal, the 12 I quite like, was another fancied horse, wasn't it? Murbik was another one that was strong in the market, Rory, when the market was available. 13, do you see that one playing a role?
Yeah, rating of 75, Murbik, Yunus Al Faredi on board. You'd like to think that Yunus Al Faredi would be a member of the famous Al Faredi family, and has a recent run as well. Nawaf Al Mudiani was on board when this one was third of 14 in a winners of 3 over 1,200 metres in January. So a recent run from Murbik as well, and should be a player in this contest from stall 13.
Okay, the final few are just getting down to the post, as you can see. Shouldn't be too long before they're all gathered at the start, and the loading will get underway. We are back, of course, tomorrow and Saturday as well. We've got 8 races to bring you tomorrow, 8 races on Saturday. We're going to be on the grass, aren't we, Rory, for the early part of tomorrow?
We are, yes.
3 opens?
Three open races on the turf. Meant to be races 1, 2 and 3, but they have a habit of changing those around, but they haven't changed at the moment, so we may
when I looked, it was still 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But and then we've got these really valuable races for horses that went through the auctions, 650,000 Saudi Riyal at the back end of the card tomorrow for 3-year-olds.
Callum would love that, given that he got involved in the big auction.
Oh, he might have sold one. He might be on a commission.
He may. Well, I'm not sure he's getting a commission on it, but he was briefly involved in that. So he'll have looked through the catalogue all right.
Okay.
And those are interesting races. A lot of money on offer, but there tends to be a fair range of ability in there as well. And we don't necessarily see the big stables winning. We see some smaller owners winning at one of Cristiano Ronaldo's colleagues was a winner of one of the auction races earlier in the season. He's got a few horses. We didn't see him at the races though, when he didn't bring Cristiano along. But it's nice to see different colours represented in those races as well.
It is. So that's to come tomorrow. And then we've got the Jcsa Cup and the North America Cup on Saturday. That Jcsa Cup is a desert bred open for the Arabians. I know you're already studying that race up avidly ahead of Saturday. So, at the post, I'm going to take 12 Das Mau here, but I have absolutely no idea. Some would say I've had no idea all night, although I claim my 16-1 winner. But who are you going with?
I'm actually going to agree with you on Das Mau.
Oh, right, okay.
It was off the track for a long time, but it's had a couple of recent runs, and the most recent run with trainer Abdullah Al-Adib on board, I imagine that Azam Al-Adib is a very close relation there as well, should go well.
Okay, so the only way to try and catch Callum or get closer is to team up. We're doubling up here with a 12, Callum.
Well, you'll get lots of positives from the 12. The jockey of the 12 was our pony racing winner earlier on this year, which said everything about today's racing. I like the 2 to beat the 12. John Blance, they're loading quickly. It's over to you.
Thank you very much, Callum. Yes, these young riders, big moment for them. They are moving forward pretty quickly. This lot are loading quicker than virtually any other race this evening. Mayaf still to come in. The 13 is Murbik, 1,200 metres in front of them. Good luck to all involved. Mayaf just getting a little bit reluctant to go in. It's been persuaded now, though. Stand by, ready, 1,200 metres. Oh, they are racing. Taken back in the early stages was Alufok Al Mubin. Also a little bit slowly away there was Mayaf as they make their way through the early part of the race. Korb Al Wayed in the blue jacket is one of the early leaders. Also prominent is Dazmal in those yellow colours. And then towards the outside in third position, Spirit of Nguru in the white and black as they make their way quickly round the turn. Also on the scene is Murbik, another one in yellow colours, just trying to get involved there. But as they start to level up for home, it's Gawaig that's gone on. Gawaig the leader to Korb Al Wayed, who races in second. So the black colours from the blue, followed then in third position now by Al Washmi, who's making good headway. Then right round the outside is Dazmal, who's just not finding a great deal, but levelling up for home it's Gawaig, who's out in front by about 2 lengths and travelling very strongly at the moment for Mohammed Al Malefi. 3 or 4 lengths to the good. The whip is being drawn and the horse is responding, and it's Gawaig who's well clear now to Afar, who's now moved on into second. Long gap back to Dazmal, who's plugging on at the 1 pace in third, but racing up towards the line. Gawaig is an easy winner of the 9th and final race. Afar has finished in second. The third horse home was Dazmal, and the 4th was Al Mukab. Gawaig has won its 2nd race at the 7th time of asking. Well done to all concerned, and it's back to the boys.
So there it was, long time off the track, but Gawaig has bounced back. I mean, the rating was there, I suppose, Rory. It's just whether you could accept that still being the ability this horse had all these years on.
Well, again, and the question you'd have there is, what's he been doing in the meantime? And I'd imagine he's been working at a training centre, maybe acting as a lead horse, doing a lot of, part of the educational program for these youngsters coming through, which is probably keeping him fit. And he's certainly enjoyed himself being out in front, and a lot of the old ability clearly remains intact.
Yeah, so there we are. That was Gawaig winning the Jockey of Education Cup, a significant race, an important race for the young riders. It's been an important night here as well, because Ashim Murphy, of course, here replacing Camillo Ospina, who is suspended, as we know, through this week. He's going to be here, Ashim, tomorrow and Saturday as well. And he's ended up with, 2 winners and a couple of seconds tonight as well. We'll have a look back at those 2 wins. These are all for the White Stable, of course. They're trying to chase this championship prize for the owners in this protracted battle with their red rivals. And it was Moradin who would get things off to a positive start. First of those 2 winners in the handicap race number 6. Here we are turning in, and he's about to make his bid.
Yeah, he took a couple of bumps off the bend, and he'd been under pressure on the outside for a long time as well. So he'd been messed around a little bit in the race. He's a horse who won a maiden easily early in the season, but he needed his mind made up. He needed to become a man today, and Oisin Murphy was the man to sort of bring him through and say, listen, don't you worry about this. You've got the ability to win the race. Eventually got himself in the clear and run on well to win in good style. It should be better than not to 65 grade, but hopefully this will bring him on as well. But Oisin seemed to very good effect in a rough race.
Yeah, and of course we've just seen it with the young riders. They're getting educated today, and we were saying earlier on that these horses are getting educated perhaps by Sheen Murphy as well. He's being able to give them some of his natural ability in the saddle. He did come back, of course. He was out of breath. He didn't have his inhaler. He had a very quick chat with Callum, went off and was able to use that inhaler, and then he would come back out, wouldn't he, 25 minutes later after this victory, having got the one under the bag. And we've got to bear in mind as well, Rory, that, of course, the first couple of rides tonight, there were a variety of reasons why things didn't go right for Sheen, but 3 races in, he's got a winner. And then he was about to ride in the next, wasn't he? Yeah. And he was about to get another winner with Cole Al-Shaka. We can have a look at this victory now. So this was 2 on the spin for Sheen Murphy, just cementing his ability.
This was a newcomer trained by Saad Al-Junaidi, and he looked very good here. Oisin sat in a prominent position throughout. Asked his mount to close up off the bend very quickly, had the race put to bed, and cleared away to win in good style. The runner-up had lots of place efforts in similar sort of company, so we should be looking at a good future for Cole Al-Shaka, and Oisin didn't have to work quite so hard there, so the inhaler wasn't needed after this race.
No, absolutely not. The inhaler did the magic, and of course, having ridden this winner, and suddenly he's got the winning habit, hasn't he, as Sheen? And I think there was a lot of expectations that he might go on and win the next, and it did look likely for a long time, only just to be picked off by Nath in the closing stages to deny him a treble. But listen, it's a great first night for Sheen Murphy, and we've got him for the rest of the week.
Yeah, and I think he probably finds things a little bit easier tomorrow as well. And it's not, as we've said before, it's not easy for British jockeys British or Irish jockeys, those who are riding in the UK, to come over here. It's not easy pickings. We've spoken to a couple of senior jockeys before, and they said, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you might be able to come out here and use your knowledge to win races. But there's no quarter asked and none given here. The standard of jockeyship has gone up remarkably here in the last decade or so, and you can't just turn up half-baked and hope that you're going to win lots of races. We saw at least one well-known UK-based jockey turn up last season for a stint in Taif, and wasn't able to hack it, couldn't get a winner, found it all too competitive, and then went off to find easier pickings and in other parts of the world. But yeah, it's not easy, and Oisin Murphy's done very well to ride a treble on the night, 2 winners and beaten in a photo finish in the next race, and he'll be hungry for more tomorrow.
He will, but of course, what he's got is he's got world-class status, hasn't he, Rory? And we talked about this earlier. He was explaining to Callum that it literally is off the plane onto the racetrack. Now, you've explained how that doesn't always work, but when you've got a jockey the calibre of Sheen Murphy and many, many others who are in that ilk, they can do that. It's what they're ingrained to do. And there where he's proved it tonight, hasn't he? Couple of rides just to sort of get himself settled, if you like, that didn't go his way, and before you know it, he's got a double, and it was so nearly a treble.
Yeah, exactly, and I imagine we'll see him fully energised for tomorrow's action. Not easy, as we said, getting straight off the plane and into work, as we've shown tonight, but Oisin's done a very good job of it.
Okay, so we've got 8 races to bring you tomorrow. We've got another 8 races to come on Saturday as we continue this penultimate week of racing here in Riyadh for the Jcsa. And of course, we've got these ongoing battles, of course, to be top rider. And perhaps the toughest battle, the closest battle, is to be the leading owner between the red and the white stables. That will continue until we close up here on Saturday week. So thank you very much for your company tonight. Thank you for all those who got involved on the YouTube channel. Join us tomorrow back here, local time at 9 o'clock. Rory will be back here along with Callum, and we'll catch you hopefully tomorrow night.